if you just ignore that and ignore this and ignore that, it's a great movie. If you think about it, there are plot holes. That's where I'm at with it. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Slate liked Swordfish, so I can't trust his opinion on it.
I did enjoy Swordfish, yo. Swordfish is a very fun movie. I didn't say it wasn't a bad movie. It can be a bad movie and still be really fun.
I drafted it and I got on here and shit all over.
Yeah, you guys shit all over Swordfish. It's
I did shit
not
all over
that
Swordfish.
bad.
No, it's bad. It's real bad.
fun.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
Whoever said orange was the new pink was seriously disturbed.
And when it comes to huge openings, a lot of people think of me.
Just call me a fuck ass.
Brilliant. Scary. I get nasty when I'm horny.
Welcome to Not Another 2001 Movie Podcast, a show exploring movies released during the first year of a chaotic century. Wait, did you guys hear that? Slate, turn off your furnace. You know the buzzing gives me migraines. I'm Allison.
I'm sorry. I'm also Slate.
I'm Josh.
And we have a returning special guest this week that I am meeting for the first time. So welcome back, Marilee. And it's nice to actually be here for this discussion this time around.
Hi, I'm genuinely thrilled to be back, especially after, in my opinion, I don't think I did the best job last time. I think I was a little too mean and a little too bit of a know-it-all, so thank you for inviting me back. I hope that I can redeem myself this time.
No, I loved it. Thought your energy was great and super excited to have you back. You weren't mean. There's nothing wrong with being honest with how you feel. I respect that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I genuinely am so excited to talk about this movie with you guys.
Yeah. Glad to have
Yeah, this ain't a redemption arc. This is the start of a hot streak.
Yeah, we've had some rough going the past couple of weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
just wait. Y'all caught the credits on this one. I know you saw them. You saw their names.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question of the week for the group, have you ever experienced something truly supernatural? In other words, something that you have not found an explanation for why it happened.
I'll jump in just real quick because mine's pretty fast. The only thing I know I've brought up, I believe the miners that were glowing before on the show, so that would fall under this category. But that's something I've already spoken about. The other thing that I recall from I was 13, 14, mowing the grass. We had this big hill, like one of the houses I grew up in. So I was outside mowing that hill, and I recall a large shadow, like a really almost like what it would seem like if a cloud was passing by and just kind of crossing the sun but like a total blackout. But it wasn't a total blackout. It was just like a large circle, like a traditional UFO sized thing going overhead. And I looked up, and it was just sun, regular things. And I don't think I was out there getting high in the grass of the mountain or anything. It's one of those things I've never nailed down an explanation for what could have been casting that shadow. And
That's so wild.
probably just a secret government
Good start.
agent or something,
Even still, that's still insane, and what a cool story.
You go ahead, Marilee, if you got one.
Yeah, so I've actually lived in several really haunted houses, and so my family has a lot of actual real life ghost stories. But this is a real true story. I don't have a lot of experiences with this, and to the point where my siblings are like, if there's something weird and scary going on, go hang out by Marilee and it will stop. So I can tell you the wildest shit you've ever heard, but it's not from my perspective. And even still, as a neutrifying is not a word. A neutral, no, I can't talk today. Goodness gracious! At the beginning of a recording, yikes. But as someone who has some sort of neutral field for supernatural stuff, I have I heard walking around footsteps in an attic where I know that there's no person has been up in at least 10 years. So, does that count?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
if it was a squatter, it counts.
No, there was no way a person could be up there. Let me be incredibly clear.
Okay, so for me, much like Marilee, in the sense that like I don't feel like I've had like a full-fledged experience of anything supernatural that I've come across. Like I remember, as a kid, like in my teens, thinking that maybe I saw a UFO or something, and that was probably more of just me. Like it's just lights, like you know what I mean. Like it's not like I had like a hard core vision or view of something, and so and I remember family members and stuff telling ghost stories, and I've always kind of like somewhat wanted to experience it. Like I don't want to be haunted. Don't do that. But like, I would love to go to Waverly Hills and check it out and like something prove to me that like, have that experience for a moment. But so for me, like nothing really supernatural stands out, but what like kind of stood out to me more than anything is, I lost my mother last year, like right around, it was the week after Mother's Day, and my mother's name was Robin. And so of course, like, when you see a robin bird, for me, like it just always feels like it's her stopping by. And I remember, Christmas a few months back, it's extremely cold out, everything else. And, like my ex's mom, which is where we were having my daughter open her presents and stuff in her living room, has this big window that kind of leads out to the back door and everything else. And I look out the window, and on the roof of her garage is a robin, just one robin sitting on top of the garage, staring in the window, looking right at me. And so like that's kind of probably the closest thing. Just felt like mom was like stopping by for Christmas. So I feel like she gives me signs like that all the time.
That's so
That's so
sweet.
beautiful.
Well, mine are both small and short, I guess. The first one was a group in Eastern Kentucky, and lots of people there are very religious. And I had this one friend whose family was actually the most religious, and yet they owned a Parker Brothers Ouija board.
Oh boy.
Which Josh and Slate, I'm not sure how old you are, but I don't know if you all remember that it was like a board game. You could buy a Ouija board.
Yeah, Milton Bradley.
You can still get one.
I was gonna say they still make them, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
So we like had a sleepover at her house. And I to this day I'm like, I cannot believe they let us play with a Ouija board, like given that family, but whatever. And asking it stupid questions, who do I have a crush on, and what boy like, dumb stuff like that. But I had lost one gold hoop earring, and so I said, "Where is my gold earring?" And it said, "In the basement on the furnace." And it was so specific. And I'm like, my friends, like, again, we're at my friend's house. We're not at my house. Keep this in mind. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. And at some point after going home the next few weeks, I remembered that it said that. And I was like, I'm going to go down to the basement and look. And we had like a basement, half was unfinished. That's where the furnace was. And then half was finished. And I went over, and I swear to God, that earring was sitting on top of the furnace.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
That is wild.
To the point where I'm like, did one of my friends plan this? Because that is the only way that this could have happened, because it was
Elaborate
so specific.
prank.
Yes, a very elaborate prank.
That is wild. That reminds me of a story that my mother told me growing up. That now I feel like needs to be told. We were, she like growing up, there was like two like major rules that she had for me. I mean, she had a lot of rules. She was pretty strict, but like two major rules were, one, absolutely, like she was like, you are never allowed to watch The Exorcist, which it's silly, but broke that rule. And I remember calling her from college and telling her, "Hey, Mom, guess what I'm doing today?" What's that? And I said, "I'm watching The Exorcist tonight." And it was like the first time I'd heard her cuss in like 15 years. And she was like, "Why the fuck would you tell me that?" So that was fun. But her main big rule was like, I don't care what you're doing, who you're with, you will never touch a Ouija board. And so I was like, huh? She was like, you will never play with the Ouija board. Do not touch one. And if your friends want to do it, you call me and you come home immediately. Like, stay the hell away from the Ouija board. And I was like, why? And she was telling me that when she was a teenager, of course, her and her cousins were playing with it. And it freaked them all out, scared the shit out of them. And they ended up throwing the Ouija board into the fire pit. And they swear up and down that the Ouija board was screaming at them as it was burning. So I've never touched a Ouija board, and it's one of those things that, like, I don't know if they're real or fake, but I don't care to find out because I'd rather just not deal with it. So yeah.
The second story, 2005. So I'm graduated from college, living in an apartment. And one of my friends from back home was in town and spent the night with me. And our plan was she was spending the night with me, and I lived in an apartment with a roommate. So my friend is sleeping in the floor. Actually, I had two friends. John was out in the living room. He's irrelevant to the story. My friend Michelle was sleeping in the bedroom with me, but she was on the floor. I was in my tiny little bed. And
John's got to come on this show. You got to get him on this show. He's come up too often for him not.
I've kind of mentioned it to him, and he just kind of has this ambivalent like. So I don't know. Maybe if I can find something he's really into.
It's got to be something in 2001 he loves.
I'm sure. Anyway, we had planned, okay, we're spending the night, and the next day we're going to go see a movie, like a matinee. So this is 2005, and cell phones were not what they are today. I don't remember what kind of phones we had, but it was probably like the classic Nokia, or maybe like the Motorola Razr or something. You know, texting was still very, very new. You'd get phone calls and it would just be a phone number. Like there was not, it wouldn't try to predict who was calling you. Anyway, at 3 a.m., we're sleeping and Michelle's phone rings. And of course I wake up and I'm like, who the fuck is calling you at 3 a.m.? She's like, oh, I don't know. And just, kind of turns it off and throws the phone down, and we went back to sleep. So the next day we decided to go see The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Ooh,
nice.
Fun.
And so we watched that movie, and I'm assuming you all have seen it, but they mentioned several times in the movie that 3 a.m. is the witching hour, and all the weird shit happens at 3 a.m. So we get out of the movie, and I'm like, Michelle, what time did you get that phone call last night? And her eyes got real big, and she said, I think it was 3 a.m. And so she like opens up her phone, and we're looking to see which number called her. Because, you could see the number that called you and the time, but that was it. And it was gone. There was no call showing from 3 a.m.
That's crazy.
They were just calling about your earring.
Yeah.
He was making sure that I picked up my earring from the furnace.
Still on the furnace.
We're calling about your extended
car warranty. Yeah.
Okay, well, question of the week ties directly into this week's movie, which is the ghostiest of ghost stories, The Others.
Anne, are you listening to me? Anne? What did I tell you about sitting on the floor?
But it's clean.
It makes no difference. Why can't you ever do as you're told?
What's the matter?
Where is my daughter? What have you done with my daughter?
Are you mad? I am your daughter.
So The Others is a 2001 gothic horror drama directed by Alejandro Amenábar. I tried to go back and see the way that they pronounce his name, and I'm going to mess it up all throughout this episode.
Phonetic spelling looks like it's Amenábar.
The ah has the emphasis. Amenábar. I'm just going to call him Alejandro to make this easier and more tolerable for all of us to listen to. But it stars our favorite courtesan, Nicole Kidman, as our lead character, Grace Stewart.
Yeah.
And joining Kidman is a small cast of lesser known, at least to the United States, actors, including Alekina Mann as the rebellious young daughter Anne, James Bentley as the timid younger son Nicholas, Fionnuala Flanagan as the head maid Mrs. Mills, and Doctor Who himself, Christopher Eccleston, as Grace's long-lost husband Charles, who has gone off to fight in World War II. So it's set in an enormous old mansion on the island of Jersey, which I had to go look this up because she kind of references that they're on an island. It is a UK, United Kingdom entity, but is off the coastline of France. And this movie basically takes us through these sad, dreary lives of Grace and her children who are struggling on their own while Charles is off at war. And I realize that description makes it sound like it's a terrible movie. It is not. This movie is very strong on vibes. So the children are photosensitive to light, or so Grace claims. And so the house is constantly darkened by curtains. The entire property is surrounded by this thick, suffocating fog. She comments on it. The fog's never been this bad. It's just not going away. And then a trio of older servants show up, all dressed in black. Nothing weird about that at all. And claim that they used to work on that property. And, they just come back because they need somewhere to work. And very weird, but Grace, I think, is pretty desperate at this point because she has mentions that her servants left her and she has no family nearby. So she agrees. And at least she has some help. So I think it's pretty evident from the beginning that she is already struggling mentally. I mean, the movie opens with her screaming. Well, there's a little voiceover cartoon, and then the first shot of Nicole Kidman is her waking up from a dream, screaming. But when, the floorboards start creaking, the doors are slamming, there's the sound of piano music coming from the piano room, but no one's in there. And then we just kind of watch her really unravel throughout this movie. Oh, and did I mention that the daughter Anne keeps claiming that she's met a boy named Victor who keeps saying it is their house, his family's house. So The Others was a critical and commercial success, 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. It grossed $210 million worldwide. It was nominated for and received several awards from more niche film organizations, including the Goya Awards, which are kind of like the Spanish Oscars. Got a lot of nominations and won 3 at the Goyas. Nominated at the BAFTAs, the Saturn Awards, the European Film Awards, and Nicole Kidman was also nominated for Best Actress for this movie at the Golden Globes. I can't believe she did this and Moulin Rouge in the same year.
Yeah, she also was nominated for this at the BAFTAs too, and which she didn't win. But it's wild that she had 2 movies and getting and it made me wonder. I'm sure like the process for how they nominate things disavows this, but it'd be kind of cool if someone got nominated for 2 roles. Like if there were somehow
if Nicole Kidman was listed twice.
Nicole Kidman for Moulin Rouge, that would be pretty kind of cool. Just to see that happen.
I'm curious to know
which also almost would have to guarantee you a win, right? If you get 2,
I think it would split the vote.
Yeah, it's cannibalizing, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like.
But at the Globes, Moulin Rouge, they do the comedy musical versus drama category. So in theory, she could have won 2 best actress.
No, I guarantee they would have put The Others as a horror movie in with the comedy musicals because it's a genre film and they don't care about that. So they would just stick it in there. So it would be directly cannibalizing her vote.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious what she like if you were to ask her and she had truth serum and didn't give you a politically correct answer, which film she thought she's more proud of her performance in, or what she thought was more challenging and difficult, and if she were to win, say, a Best Actress award, what one she thinks she should have won that for. Because both of these performances are definitely a complete tone switch. They're both challenging in their own ways and own rights, and they're both fantastic performances. So just curious kind of what Nicole Kidman, how she really feels about both of them.
I would predict that maybe she would pick this one because one of the things I read, which I did not include my fun facts, was that she tried to quit this movie because the story of killing your own children and trying to get into that headspace was really, really bothering her, and she wasn't sure that she could do it.
She did a phenomenal job. And I feel like you can't ask that question so many years later though, because the afterlife of both of these movies are so different. Because like Moulin Rouge celebrated Camp Classic, the others Criterion Collection, different vibes.
Facts.
Oh yeah, and this was your Criterion draft.
Yes, I
pick, right,
forgot to
Allison?
mention that. Yeah, this was my pick from the Criterion Collection for 2001. Okay, fun fact time. So the director might only be known to U.S. audiences for this movie, but he also directed the original Spanish version of a very well-known movie that I will be talking about later this year, Abre los Ojos, aka Open Your Eyes, aka Vanilla Sky.
Oh wow.
Which you all said that you didn't realize that Vanilla Sky was actually a remake.
Yeah, that was reading these notes was the
Penelope Cruz was in the Spanish version.
Oh,
also in, yeah.
That's fun.
I'll definitely be checking it out when we get to around that for sure. I'm going to check it out.
Okay.
And The Others is a classic example of the gothic horror subgenre of film. So, what are the hallmarks of gothic horror, you say? So, per the New York Public Library, it should feature the battle between humanity and unnatural forces of evil, sometimes man-made, sometimes supernatural, within an oppressive, inescapable, and bleak landscape.
The very important, the bleak landscape.
So that tracks, absolutely, 100%. Also, I thought this was interesting. In addition to directing, Alejandro wrote the screenplay and composed the score. And the Goya Awards, he won awards for Best Picture, Director, Screenplay. Yeah. Was it No Man's Land that director also did, directed, written, and did the score as well?
See, these foreign language guys are just auteurs. Like they're just doing it. They're just digging in and doing it.
And Grace repeatedly reminds the servants and the audience that the children are, quote, photosensitive, which is how she describes it. There's a lot of different diseases that she could be alluding to, but most people commonly assume that it's xeroderma pigmentosum, which is a genetic disorder where a person's body is unable to repair DNA following exposure to sunlight, which she mentions that they'll blister and bleed and peel and basically turn into little goblins if they get exposed to sunlight. This movie was also supposed to be goblins.
I kind of assumed it was porphyria, which is like the vampire disease.
Oh. Okay.
Could be.
Yeah, that also, again, it has different symptoms, but it also makes you extremely photosensitive, and that's why people call it that, because, like, you walk outside and you burst into flames, and you also have a severe iron deficiency.
See, I always expect, like, when I was growing up, when I watched this movie, I just assumed, which it's weird, because, like, when you look at them, they're clearly not. But for some reason, I was like, they must be albino. I don't know. Clearly, they're not albino in this film.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Okay, this movie is actually supposed to be a Spanish language film, but it was shot in English because of Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise was already working with the director to adapt Vanilla Sky in English. So then he offered to produce The Others on the condition that it be an English language release.
Oh, and also, my wife should star in it. Just saying.
I was going to ask, was she signed on as the participant?
I don't know. I didn't get that far into.
Are they divorced yet? Yeah, they're divorced, right? They're divorced.
Oh yeah, there's
actually no, not at the time of filming.
No, but they're super divorced now.
Well, no. Yeah, she ended up marrying Keith Urban, but didn't they just go through a recent divorce as well?
Yes.
So, but no, like I was just thinking, like, oh yeah, like at this time they were like right on the cusp of getting divorced or had been divorced. So she's actually still married to Tom Cruise while they're filming. Cool, good to know.
So director Alejandro actually didn't speak English at the time, so they had to use a translator while filming this. And
I don't know if he even does. He's even now speak English. I was watching something from the Criterion Blu-ray a little bit, and he was speaking in Spanish the entire time. So I wonder if he just, and I'm not criticizing. I'm just was curious if he.
I don't know, and maybe that plays into, we were texting earlier, and we were kind of like, man, this guy, he's responsible in large part for Vanilla Sky, which was a big hit, critically acclaimed. Did this movie, which was a hit, critically acclaimed, and then there's not really much that looks familiar. I would have expected him to have a much bigger career in the U.S. with the 1-2 punch of these movies, but maybe he.
Probably he just didn't want to. Especially
Yeah, maybe
because
he's like, Hollywood sucks.
Yeah, because like Tom Cruise and the Weinsteins were his producers, so you know.
Yeah, they had to carry on.
And there's.
Thank you for throwing that out there, Marilee. We've been on quite a run of dipshits we've been talking about or come up in episodes. So yeah, go ahead and let the people know they're there.
They're there. Like they produce everything. Everything.
Especially if it's
I think
listed
every
in the
movie
horror
I've watched
genre at this time.
Yeah, the past 2 weeks, I think every movie I've watched for this show has been produced by the Weinsteins.
Yeah.
I mean, they were obviously terrible, atrocious acts, but they had a good eye. they were getting, a lot of stuff out there.
After a certain point, it doesn't even matter what their eye is like. If they have all of the money and all of the power, and they're producing everything, if you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, at some point, something is gonna stick.
Yeah. I like looking at it that way instead.
My guess on Alejandro is that absolutely. One, we've already discussed he's an auteur. Like he is creating all this stuff, writing it, and probably wants full control over his project. And if there's anything we know about the Weinsteins and Tom Cruise is that they're also controllable egomaniacs that will tell you this is not the way it needs to be done. Do it this way 85 different times until you get what they want. And so he probably threw a fit about it. And also I could see him just based off what I small know about him is probably very proud of his heritage and making Spanish movies and wanted to make most of his movies for Spanish culture and felt like he could make more of an impact with that versus making more money doing films for Hollywood and dealing with all the bullshit that he hates.
I didn't see it mentioned here in the notes, but he did also end up winning an Oscar in 2004 for The Sea Inside, which is I guess it's a biopic, technically. It's about a guy who was quadriplegic and
oh yeah, I remember seeing the reading about that one.
He was a schizophrenic mathematician.
He advocated for euthanasia, like right to end life, or however they phrase it.
Was that best international film? I assume.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, speaking of Tom Cruise, so this movie came out August 10th, 2001. Their divorce was finalized 2 days before this movie came out.
Oh boy,
she's free.
Those headlines were fun.
Probably generated a lot of press for this movie.
Probably.
Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise seeing the others.
Oh, that's good. That's fun.
Okay.
Those red carpet interviews had to be a blast.
God. I split up my notes just in kind of 3 categories, but first I just want to hear some general thoughts on how y'all feel about this movie.
Guest goes first.
All right. Listen, I love the hot seat. I love this movie. I think it's a genuine masterpiece. I think that gothic horror is an underappreciated genre, especially because we don't get that many gothic movies in this country because they don't have a lot of jump scares, which is like the gothic is all about creating an atmosphere. And I just think that this movie is incredible. Like all of the performances are fantastic. Even Nicole Kidman doing her best attempt at a British accent that doesn't always hide her Australian accent. I don't even care. She's great. I think the kids are fantastic. I think the concept and the twist are phenomenal. And I do think that the last scene in the movie with like her and the kids staring in the window and like cursing the property lived rent free in my brain for years. Like it was an intrusive thought for a period in my life that what if I was dead and the others was happening to me. I think it's such a good movie.
All right, Slate.
Yeah, I'll second that. I think it's a fantastic film. I think one of the drawbacks that I had of it when I watched it when it first came out, um, and I still think hurts it today, is that this movie is follows The Sixth Sense, and a lot of people who saw The Sixth Sense before they saw this movie will just write it off as, it's just a Sixth Sense ripoff. Like, it's the same ending, it's just a different movie. And I feel like that's really unfair to this film because the performances are fantastic. It is different. The way it is handled is completely different. Um, there are some things in the movie that I'm sure we'll address that, like, the more I thought about it, like, once you know the ending and you kind of catch everything that's going on, some things that maybe didn't work for me, or maybe I think could have been done a little bit better as far as like the way it's portrayed or the way you're supposed to read it, or not anticipate, but like the metaphors and the way they're handled and certain things that kind of happen in the film. But like I think Nicole Kidman's performance in it is amazing. She is like honestly an annoying, irritable like scab that just needs to be picked at the entire film. And that's what she's going for, right? Which is like a complete opposite of Sartine and her performance in Moulin Rouge. So it's fun to see her like completely flip the switch and be almost like the exact opposite of person. Like, she is not likable in this movie. She's not meant to be likable. She is honestly a complete bitch in this movie. And I just being real, like, she is, but like I love her for it because like she has that range and depth, and we're seeing her in a different light. And I think the dynamic between her and her children is fun. The dynamic between her and her daughter is awesome. Like, those two performances are great. The girl that played the daughter honestly steals the show for me, aside from Nicole Kidman. And then of course the nanny, the leader of the workers. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head.
Mrs. Mills.
Mrs. Mills.
Mrs. Mills, yes.
Bertha. Bertha.
Bertha Mills.
Bertha.
She is fantastic as well. Like, I think that they did a great job with casting in this movie, and I think that all of the actors are really like dialing it up a notch, but not to a level where it seems like they're overacting, and they're really playing well off of each other. And like, if you're going here, I'm gonna either go right here or go right here and be right with you, or try to surpass you in each scene that we do. So it's a really good movie, and like, it holds your attention. It doesn't feel like it's too long, and when everything starts to happen at the end and everything comes together, it's just a beautiful like masterpiece, the way everything kind of falls into place at the end. So I loved it. It's a great film.
All right, J-Mo.
Yeah, it's hard because, I mean, again, echo the Nicole Kidman. I mean, the fact that she was Satine, and I don't remember her name. I'm obviously, her name's fleeing my mind.
Grace.
Grace. But the fact in 1 year to put out these two performances is remarkable, and just speaks even more to the fact that it's something she I know she gets her Oscars later, but incredible year for her. But these kids, my immediate first takeaway was like how good these children are, and how much the movie working hinges on these kids just being able to act even halfway to the point that Nicole Kidman's at. And I think they do an incredible job of really being in these scenes with her, and the woman who plays Mrs. Mills. It's just so hard to be that in that situation I feel like as a child actor, and these kids are phenomenal. And obviously now they're not kids, they're, I guess, probably in their 30s now, right, or close to it. You know, it's really great to, you know, I'd like to see how they turned out, if they managed to do anything. But also, the first thing I wrote in my notes was like, the cinematography is just unreal, like right out of the gate. Like, you're just so immersed in this. In the version I watched, the Criterion disc, I don't know how you guys watched it, and it's so has this a lot of grain in it. like the whole, like it's very grainy looking movie. It's shot as if it's almost shot as if it's, I think it's set in 1945, right? It's set kind of as if it's like a little bit shot as if it's kind of set in that period, but all like it's shot as if it's in that period almost, and that's how it felt. And to do that, and for there to be, especially the first half of this movie, because the whole big conceit of this movie, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, is there's a lot of absence of light, and for the shots to look as good as they do in this movie, and it be lit the way it is, for a big chunk of the movie is just so freaking. It is a master class, just in that alone. If nothing else worked about this movie, it would still just be such a good thing to show somebody. Like this is great cinematography working under a lot of restrictions. You know, you're working with kids, you're working with light. It's just so, that was the thing. That was for me like the thing, like right away. Like you said masterpiece earlier, Marilee, like that's the thing that if nothing else was working, that's what puts it over the top.
Yeah, I think going back to what you said, yeah, the lighting, like whoever had that job probably had the most stressful job on the entire set. And you know, them and the director of photography, the cinematographer, like all of those hands in the pot, like you really have to be together as far as like what you want out of the shot, because if it doesn't work, like you're gonna have to think on your toes with the lack of lighting that is in the movie. And then going to what you said, Josh, about the children's performances, I think that it's easier to get more out of a child when they're with an actor, especially an experienced actor that is much older than them and can kind of dominate the scene for them if they're lacking, or if they're not, you know, if they're a child actor, right? Like if they just don't have the experience, and I think it's easier to get better scenes out of them when they're bouncing off of somebody that can give them more to work with, that's, you know, an experienced elderly actor like Nicole Kidman, who've been doing it for a while, and like the lady that played Mrs. Mills. But for those two, when they're in the scenes, just them as brother and sister, the way that they're bouncing and playing off of each other, and the way that the scenes are just feel real, like their relationship and the nagging and the nitpicking and the argumentative and everything feels very real. That like they do a fantastic job as child actors. They're great.
Yeah, and before we go on, I want to shout out the cinematographer. I'm gonna fuck up his name. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Javier Aguirre Sirobe. I don't. It's a really long name.
Nailed it.
He
nailed it.
Just fantastic. But also wanted to mention he has shot. This was sort of a thing that helped him, you know, launch a career. So he kind of ebbs and flows between doing Spanish and Hollywood stuff. It looks like he did a couple of the Twilight movies, New Moon and Eclipse. So he was getting that bag.
Good for
he was
him.
also,
Yeah,
I don't know if those are like the best cinematography movies, but
well, Bill, but he was making them
good
cashing
for
them
his
checks.
bank account.
Yeah. At a certain point, what does it matter? Money is so good.
For me, at least, this the most significant thing he's done since this would have been Thor Ragnarok, which is
all right, Ragnarok. He cooked in that
Thor movie.
Yeah, he cooked. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I can't believe we're all in agreement. As this.
Some movies are just that good.
A rare first.
All right, hold on now. I'm gonna say though, there are things that I don't like about the movie that we will get into.
Already.
It's a good movie.
There he goes.
No. Go. I want Allison's review. I'm just saying that like I don't think it's perfect by any means, and I do have issues with it.
So I concur with all the thoughts, especially the Sixth Sense thing. I mean, that was how I did not see this in the theater. I rented it afterwards, but that's how it was presented to me. Oh, I saw the others. Was it any good? Oh yeah, it's just like the Sixth Sense. No, it's not.
I bet that's a super common refrain.
Absolutely.
And I feel like in the cultural legacy, this movie has suffered for coming out after the Sixth Sense, because that was just so sensational and it is so embedded in pop culture, and it's unfortunate that this one's in its shadow.
Because this one's better.
But
that's bold.
That is.
I haven't seen
Josh.
The Sixth Sense in a really long time, so I feel like I'd have to rewatch it. But I mean, I think this is like such a well-made movie, and my main like takeaway for why I think this movie works so well is that if you did not have the plot twist, you would still have a very stylish, interesting to watch, kind of classic haunting, whether there really are ghosts or whether it's something that the servants are doing, because throughout the movie there's kind of, you're not sure what's happening because you realize that there's something weird with the servants.
Put the leaves over the graves, all that good stuff.
If they had gone that route, it wouldn't be as interesting, but it would still be a really good movie that's really well made and beautiful to look like and has great performances. And the fact that on its own is so good, and then you throw in this twist that just recontextualizes everything that you've seen, makes it great, in my opinion.
I agree. It's such a, because I watched this was my first time watching this, I'm pretty sure. And so I came in knowing there was a twist because I the 666 thing, like it being connected to that. But so I kind of watched it assuming the servants were, going to be revealed as ghosts. Like that was just kind of my head was at, knowing there was a twist. And obviously, they are. That's part of the twist. But then it's like there's like a twist, and then it's immediately another twist. And when it gets revealed that, oh hey, this whole family's dead too, it worked on me, but also I had the same thought, Allison. I was like, if it had just been the servants or ghosts, like if that had just been the where they landed with it, and they still kind of played out the string the rest of the way, I almost think you could have had the movie play out the rest of the way, except without the mother and kids, understanding that they are ghosts at the end, and it would still be incredibly good to watch.
Yeah, and I in my notes here, we've all talked about how well the performances are in the casting, but I want to kind of dive into that a little more specifically. So Nicole Kidman is so perfect for this. You can just feel her Catholic guilt the moment she's on screen, and she even carries herself. She's I wrote here, she's a wisp of a woman. She's so thin, but also stiff. She's on
That's
edge.
what being married to Tom Cruise does to you.
Right. So you're saying this wasn't actually
Get him.
I mean, it is. She's incredible, but also I felt like making a joke because I can't imagine being married to Tom Cruise. That's stressful.
Oh God. Yeah, she feels like a live wire the whole time, just like a little bit frayed and on edge, and it just gets worse and worse and worse throughout the movie. And even the way she speaks, it's just kind of it's like breathless, exhausted voice, and the whole thing really worked for me. And
it makes me, sorry to interrupt, but knowing that, so she would have been filming this like if their divorce was finalized before 2 days before the movie came out, she would have been filming. Obviously, you didn't just get divorced overnight. It's something that's kind of in working a lot of times in the background.
I believe in the Moulin Rouge episode, I think they officially filed for divorce February of this year. So this is August, but she was filming this the summer of 2000.
So that's probably already kind of baking in your mind a little bit. And she's also filming, I mean, again, she's filming a movie, a musical, like you're being treated like, royalty basically throughout that film. And for this, more, I could see why this would have been challenging, not just because of the kids stuff, but because a big part of this is this relationship fraying in the movie is something that leads to the demise of the children too. And I feel like that had to be incredibly challenging, just emotionally, to navigate, even if the stuff in her personal life was, even if she was in a good place in terms of yeah, fuck this guy, I'm done with him. It's still really tough to, even if you felt that way, and I'm not saying she did, but to even then throw yourself into this character has to be maybe partly who she was in real life at some point.
I believe her and Cruz had one boy and one girl, both adopted, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. Man, yeah, just what a woman.
And everyone's talked about the kids, and I agree. I think they're phenomenal, and I am someone who tends to be annoyed by child actors. I am childless. I'm childless for a reason. I generally do not have patience for children, and I can't stand movies that have precocious children. I did not. What's the kid from Jerry Maguire? I thought that was so
Oh,
Haley
Christopher
Joel Osment?
Leminski
No,
or whatever.
yeah, Lipinski or
Yeah, with the glasses, little dweeby kid, right?
yeah, yeah.
Is it Christopher? It's Christopher something like with the Minsky in it. I'm tripping.
And
I don't know. But yeah, if y'all didn't know, Allison has the initials FTK tattooed right over her heart for fuck those kids. So,
You and David, my co-host, both.
oh, kids are great for other people. But anyway, yes, I tend to find kids in movies that they're always written to be either they're so wise beyond their years, or they're just nonstop brats, or just in some like completely unrealistic way. And I think these two are very realistic. You know, Anne is. They could have written the rebellious teen daughter to be much more annoying and mean, but she has depth to her. You know, she likes to taunt her brother, but she also genuinely cares for him. And you know, she fights with her mom the way I think a lot of daughters fight with their moms, and she's, you know, trying to kind of assert herself a little bit because she's the older kid. And I think Nicholas is so perfect as the younger meek brother. There's a lot of times when they just cut to him and he's reacting but not speaking, but you can even see in his face like how upset he is, or you kind of understand what he's thinking, and he doesn't even have to say a word. I just find that amazing that they found these two kids, because this movie does not work, I think, if there are lesser kid actors in these roles.
Absolutely.
the kid's name is Jonathan Lipnicki.
Jonathan, yes, yeah.
I was way off with Christopher.
You're thinking of Christopher Eccleston.
I was thinking of Christopher Mintz-Plotzy or
Mintz-Plots.
Yeah, Christopher Mintz-Plotz. That's what I was. Yeah, that's where I was in. Jonathan Lipnicki. Sorry, I put some respect on both of your names. Okay.
But I love the scene near the end when she's like, "I'm just going to climb out this window and climb down the pipe," and he's like, "You're going to get in trouble and don't do it, don't do it." And she's, basically calling him a wimp, and he kind of works up the courage. And he starts climbing out, and she's smiling at him.
Yeah,
like she's like, "Oh my gosh," like kind of proud that he's coming with her on this journey. And then later, whenever the servants are walking towards them, which I think is a genuinely creepy shot.
Oh yeah, it's really well done.
This trio of like people in black, and she is screaming to try to save him, and he's just like, "Oh my God, you're always making fun of me and trying to trick me," and you just like can see the panic in her face. So she's like, "Oh God, oh my God, boy who cried wolf." No, I'm not joking this time.
Yeah, and like it's so unsettling the way that they just like appear out of the fog.
Yeah.
And you've known, as the audience, the first time you're watching it, you've known that these guys are up to something, but you have no idea what. You have a pretty good idea that they're probably dead because like the way that they're hiding the tombstones and like everything that's going on. But like seeing them as she is like looking at them, sees the names, you understand what she's understanding, and then the three of them just appear out of this fog bank walking towards this little boy who trusts them, but you know now that, oh shit, that's bad. And they've been kicked out of the house. Like, you don't know what they're going to do next. It's really exquisite tension building.
Yes.
I also like that there's like a slight humor because she's like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, there's graves over there. I'm going to go look at it." And he was like, no, there'll be ghosts. A ghost will get you. A ghost with a sheet and chains. And she's like, there's no ghosts, there's just skeletons.
Yeah. And like, fair play to her. That's right, there are just bones there. There shouldn't be a ghost because I thought that was a really excellent line.
Going to what you were saying, Mary Lee, about the tension building part of the whole thing and finding out their ghost and all of that leads me to my first thing of things that don't add up when you think logically. Okay. So here we are. When you think logically about this movie, now that you know the ending and you realize that one, obviously Nicole Kidman and her children are ghosts, but also Mrs. Mills and the servants are also ghosts. My first thought was, okay, how long has she been in this house with her children? It's been quite a long time, right? They've been there for multiple years, or just before the war.
Yeah, listen, I do this thing where I build elaborate sandcastles. So a lot of this is going to be how I've interpreted it. I don't know how much is in the movie, but I'll tell you what I understand from it.
Okay.
Is that like her husband bought the house before the war.
Okay.
Sometime during the war, like
The Germans came and took the electricity and all that stuff away.
yeah, it's like if like this is an English occupied land, but like part of France, probably they keep talking about the surrender. France surrendered to Germany immediately, so maybe that's what they're talking about. And so, but like at some point during everything that happened, the servants left, right?
Right.
And then after I think that she got word that her husband was dead, or maybe even on the day that like she woke up and everybody else was gone and she couldn't leave with everybody else because her kids are photosensitive. They'll like she cannot leave the house.
Sure.
And they're fucked. So she kills the kids and then herself I don't think she keeps saying she didn't mean to hurt them for however much you want to believe that.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah.
And so I think the movie wants you to believe that like they had been dead for like a week.
Because she makes reference several times to this fog has lasted a week. It's never lasted this long. Oh, the postman was supposed to come. It's been a week. He hasn't. There's several times she references a week. So that seems to be how long that they're dead.
So, all right. So let's say.
Am I interpreting right that your hang up is like not because these servants served previously?
Well, so yeah, where I'm at with my hang up
is. She mentions like knowing there's a cemetery on the grounds, but not having seen it before. That's another thing that I think could like that's like the thing that you wonder if it's like, well, why didn't they just see the gravestones? Because they're also pretty close to the house, but she wasn't outside a lot,
because there was a war on.
Yeah,
and the war.
So my hang up when I'm thinking about this logically was that one. Okay, so she's lived in this house, let's say 5 or 6 years, because, the war started, like 38, 39?
39.
Yeah, 39. So here we are, 5, 6 years. She's lived in this house, and never come across, like, their spirits before they passed away. And they've just been kind of actively avoiding her. And
So they say in the movie that, like, some people don't sense them. So probably... Right. Yeah, the little girl baby who is for some reason seems was tuned to people more as a ghost. So maybe she was more tuned to the ghost when she was a person. She apparently has some sort of history of making things up. So maybe she heard things, but the mom never noticed that there were ghosts. My theory, again, this is a hot take. This is a game theory. This is not like a real thing that's supported. I kind of assumed that after the ghosts saw, oh, hey, hold on, double homicide plus suicide happened here. Let's just, like, take a vacation for a couple of days, wander around in the fog, do whatever we do when we're not here, in case they wake up as ghosts and then come back and see what's going on. But that is just me theorizing. The movie never says any of that.
Yeah, it's presumed that the servants have been living as ghosts in that house since they died.
Sure, that's what I assume too.
Mrs. Mills says something to the effect of, yes, some people. She makes some comment about like people come and go, and sometimes they can sense you, and sometimes they can't. Right. Essentially, so
okay. And so, anyways, my big hang up on this is that these people just show up and they want to be servants for you at this house, and you're pretty much like, all right, cool. Here's the keys. Get to work. How are we paying these people? Where is our food coming from? Because we're not leaving ever. Like, those are things that I'm like, don't add up and don't make sense. They're not thought of.
Shit.
That's the shit that like
enters my mind.
When I think about the movie after the movie's over, that's the type of shit that like keeps me up at night. Is like, all right, like yeah, but when you start to think about it, like that doesn't make sense because it doesn't add up for these logical reasons right here. And so that
they seem to be very well off.
That's what I was like.
So I could see that they maybe have some like food deliveries or something and that they have a large basically store of food,
which I anticipated as well, but I was like, they never make mention of it. There's never a delivery dropped off. They don't even talk about having a garden. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's like we're just not having food, I guess. But their food, we're cooking an endless amount of food. They eat in this movie. They're ghosts and they're eating, which I thought was weird too. And then lastly, they've been dead a week. and we already are moving a brand new family in, and she didn't notice a realtor coming in showing people the movie, like never crossed paths with them at the same time
No,
either.
okay, so
the family's moved in and we still don't have electricity.
Slate, I think you are getting too bogged down in like very specific
I think the new
like,
family. I think when we see like how everything kind of comes to a head, I think I think that family is communicating with them through the dead like 30 years down the road. I think that's like that scene is happening in like the 70s or the 80s, like or the 60s.
I was also
like the way they're dressed is probably not. It's probably
I was
like
also
maybe
kind
10
of
years, but
imagining it as.
But we just said they've been dead for a week. So how does that happen? Because this is all happening
in their moment. They've been dead for a week, but in the period of time they're being communicated to,
then there's still no electricity in the
Slate.
50s, 60s when they're
You've watched Stranger Things. Okay,
it's an old house.
I imagine this to be a realm that is basically on top of.
I got you.
The dead realm is on top of the living room, like Stranger Things. How when you go into what they thought was the upside down, but it's actually a wormhole, and it mimics everything in real life. But sometimes there's weird cross. Like that is what it was like for me.
But it's explained in that show. We understand.
I don't
how
need
that
it
works.
explained in this hour and 44 minute
I'm
movie.
just saying. Those are the problems that I have with it. Like, I still think the movie's a very good movie, but I think that there's a reason for concern for like things that don't add up when you actually spend a little bit of time thinking about it.
I don't need an explanation.
Yeah.
So, do you remember the movie Inception, perhaps?
I love Inception. Yes.
So do you remember the cafe scene where Dom Cobb is explaining to Ariadne about how did we get here?
Listen, we're talking about the others. Inception's not a movie from 2001, Marilee.
I'm just saying, I think that you need to understand that ghost logic and
it stars your
logic,
boy Tom Hardy, which you keep bringing up repeatedly on the show.
Tom. Love you, Tom.
I think that like you have to understand before they realize that they're dead and ghosts. A lot of things just happen because they expect it to be this way, and like the ghost logic of things are the same as they always have been and always
like dream
will
logic.
be. Exactly. It doesn't need to be explained because the unconscious mind is making it so, and it doesn't need to be rationed out. If this bridge of dream logic is too much for you, then that's
it's not too much. It's just things that like once you know the ending and everything, that's when I start to think about stuff that I've seen in the movie and what happens in the movie, and I'm like, well, if you just ignore that and ignore this and ignore that, it's a great movie. If you think about it, there are plot holes. That's where I'm at with it. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Slate liked Swordfish, so I can't trust his opinion on it.
I did enjoy Swordfish, yo. Swordfish is a very fun movie. I didn't say it wasn't a bad movie. It could be a bad movie and still be really fun.
I drafted it and I got on here and shit all over.
Yeah, you guys shit all over Swordfish. It's
not
that bad.
No, it's bad. It's real bad.
Fun.
Okay,
that's a movie
on.
that doesn't require plot points. Okay, doesn't require
that is a movie
dots.
full of.
That's
plot
how they
holes.
wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Sorry,
okay,
I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
I want to talk about Mrs. Mills a little bit because I thought she was amazing.
She's awesome,
and she somehow is projecting warmth and menace.
At the same time, it's phenomenal. It's so good.
Her performance is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you actually see her demeanor switch when she's speaking to the children. It's basically all warmth and she's so kind to them, but there's just this little like tension every time she speaks to Grace. And then that tension in her gets stronger and stronger as the movie goes on. And you kind of realize she's like, God damn it, when is she going to figure this out? I'm getting tired of waiting on her.
Yeah, I love that by the end, she's just like, fuck it, like whatever we've been trying to plan to sort of prepare them for this, we're just gonna spook them. We're gonna be ghosts. Like it kind of just because it seems like she's really wanting her to figure it out on her own and kind of start asking questions and treat it that way, because it's interesting that she's so respectful of, because it's a movie, it's about a lot of things, but religion and beliefs are a big core to it, and that she's remains so respectful of that in the lead up to everything that happens is an interesting choice because I think I was reading something about Alejandro Amenábar. He apparently was, raised Catholic, and he comes out as gay a few years after this movie comes out, and then ends up switching. He starts agnostic and then becomes atheist. So it's almost. I mean, there's a lot of I imagine things he might have been wrestling with at the time, present in this movie in terms of religion, and I don't know. I really think that's. I'm not a religious person, but I like seeing stuff like that on screen and people like wrestling with that, because I think even as someone who's not religious, it's still like I get why people wrestle with it and want to believe in things, and I think it's really well handled here. And Mrs. Mills is kind of even though she didn't necessarily come out, I don't think she says anything about being religious, but she is the conduit that's sort of acting as that person who allows for a lot of that conversation and thought to be happening.
And I kind of wondered so we're like, well, why is she trying to, I guess, almost ease Nicole Kidman into this realization, which seems to be kind of what they're trying to do. And then she gets more and more impatient as it goes along. And I wondered if she thought, because they say that Lydia, who is mute, became mute when I guess she realized the shock of the fact that she was dead, and she just never spoke again. And maybe Mrs. Mills is thinking, if I can just kind of ease her into this realization, then it won't affect her kind of in the same way, maybe. But
I hadn't thought about that. That's I think that's a good read.
I took it like the way I interpreted it is that obviously what Grace did is heinous and something that like she swears up and down how much she loves her children, that she would never do anything to harm them, and it's one of those things that like to break the news to a mother of two children that you murdered them and all of this, she's trying to ease her in completely for comfort's sake and show her like, it's not all bad. You can still live a decent life as a ghost, but I don't think
go make you some tea.
Yeah, but I don't think that she realized just how stubborn and headstrong and how willfully like ignorant that Grace is about this. Like you could literally show Grace a death certificate and a picture of her cold dead body and she would deny it. Like that's where she's at for this entire movie until she has no other choice but to recognize what's going on. So like I think that's why she's like trying to ease her in and be comforting, almost maternal like, and the way she knows how to do that is as a nanny, because that's what she was, and thinks that it's gonna fit. And like the more that like it's getting closer and closer to Grace figuring it out, and Grace is like actively being like, nope, I'm turning the other way and we're going further back away from this, and I'm still like, and she's like, God damn it, woman. Like
I do love because she's so patient, and then it just kind of turns at some point.
She's like, fuck it, I've had enough.
Doesn't she literally say, like, I'm losing my patience?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's specifically after Grace backslides when the husband arrives. Because, like, she had been up to a point where it was like, obviously there are these intruders. They search the whole house. She's like, she knows that there's something going on.
Right.
And then she goes to find this priest to bless the whole property. And she comes back with her husband, who had been lost wandering in this fog.
That makes no sense either.
He's dead.
He's dead, but not dead anywhere near their grounds.
Yeah, because he was looking for them, but
he got a day pass, I guess, from the front lines to go find his family, and it seems that he thought he would just be haunting his family.
Yeah, after he dies, then he's like, well, I guess what? Like, you're all dead too. You don't know it yet, but I'm just going to dip on out.
Christopher Eccleston, who, I mean, he's only in a few scenes, but I think he's
phenomenal.
So good. Yeah,
he's very good as Charles.
He's great. And just, he looks so confused when he sees her, but then as she's like dragging him back in the house and he realizes he can actually interact with the children, and you can just kind of see it dawn on him that, like, oh my God, I can interact with them because they're also dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's
I think it's heartbreaking.
So affected by it, and because he knows he's dead.
But then why does he leave?
Figured it out
because
he's
like
a ghost.
he got a day pass.
They're all ghosts.
He's got to go back to where he died. Is what I took from it, and he died on the front lines.
Yes, the servants say very specifically, I don't know that he knows where he is, right? And so at the time period, the reason why spiritualism had such a really big boom in the wake of the First World War, is that there was a very common belief that people who died away from home, their spirits would be able to find their way back, right? And so a lot of people got into spiritualism, because they wanted to contact their loved ones and to like let them know that, hey, you're dead, you can go on to peace, or like you can come here and your family will take care of you, right? And so the way I understood it is that he was lost, and he, at the end when he's like, yeah, I've got to go to war, it's because he forgot again that he'd already done that. He thought he was alive, thought he had to go back, and that's why he left. But when he arrived, it was with the full knowledge that like he was dead, he had died, and everything had happened. But like it reset in his brain, because as a ghost, it's very difficult to hold on to all of your faculties. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I think the tension between Mills and Grace is really, really interesting if you keep in mind like the religiosity of it all, because Grace is extremely religious. Like the movie opens with her basically explaining the way that the world was created to her kids with this like judo like framework for Christianity of like very specifically God created the world in 7 days. And she has her daughter keep reading the Bible. She thinks it's very important. And then when they're in the junk room and she finds that book with all of the pictures of the dead, like people who had been posed, she, from this like lofty position of thinking that she's a modern woman, like this barbaric like spiritualism, thank God we're so more advanced from them, even though like the way that we look at her like with this really brutal interpretation of how Christianity is supposed to be, with like the way that she dominates her family using like these supposed beliefs, including lots of stuff about limbo, which is of course never in the fucking Bible. It's just really interesting to see how the spiritualism, which is like with Mrs. Mills, because like, again, she says very plainly she's always believed in all of it, versus religion with its grace and all of its rules, right? And those two meeting, having friction, and then at the end of the movie when Grace confesses to her kids, I don't know anything more than you, I think that is a really interesting through line to follow.
I also think Mrs. Mills, so the children, and specifically when Mrs. Mills is talking to them and, you know, do you believe all the things that you read in the Bible? And Han's like, no. Those kids are stupid.
Yeah.
I don't believe God made the earth in 7 days. And you can just kind of, it's almost like Mrs. Mills is like, okay, these kids are going to get this faster than she is.
It feels like Alejandro is kind of saying his disbeliefs with Catholicism at this time too, through the daughter.
And I think it's an interesting tension.
Also, I just want to say the shots of Charles, Christopher Eccleston's character, just laying in bed looking absolutely wrecked and despondent is me waking up every day of the current timeline that we're living in. I was like, oh my God,
what a
man.
mood.
I feel this so much.
Yeah.
He is just wrecked. I also get the sense, speaking of Charles, that their marriage was already in trouble before he left.
Yeah.
So this island occupied by Nazis, and you know, when she's yelling at him like, why did you leave? You shouldn't have left. We were fine. No one was bothering us. And it was kind of uncomfortable. Like, yeah, you're a white woman. And I'm presuming maybe that the servants weren't. Maybe they fled because the Nazis were coming in. Perhaps, I don't know. But and he clearly felt differently. And did he go off to war because he felt very strongly that this isn't right? Or was the home life just too much?
Was war an escape
like,
for him?
I'm going to go to war to escape this family, and these kids are, there's so much.
She's so overbearing. Like, she's really overbearing. I could see him being like, she's too much.
Listen, nothing's wrong with Grace that Alexa Pro
Yeah.
prescription wouldn't have fixed.
A little searcher lane. It should be Writer's Rain.
Gracie
Yeah.
instead of Kanye, it's Gracie.
Yeah, it's hard watching the again, even if she hadn't ended, if they weren't ghosts, the way Grace the way she is as a mother is very hard to watch. Not because she's a bad, I won't say she's a bad mother, but she is a very difficult mother who is trying to protect her kids from something that they could have. And I guess in theory, I don't know enough about the vampire disease or the whatever we think it might be. Maybe that is something you can kind of age out of. I don't know.
I wanted to ask one thing, because I think you could actually interpret it both ways. Did the kids really have this disease?
Well, and that was
or was it like a
thing.
weird Munchausen's by proxy, and maybe it's a manifestation of her stress that she's keeping them away from sunlight? I mean, either way, the movie still works for me, because whether the kids are photosensitive and that is so hard for her to mentally deal with, or they're not, but it's a manifestation of her anxiety. So either way, it leaves her in the same place. She's overly stressed out and prone to
migraines for if you're even playing the piano at a normal, like, there's nothing to do in this damn house.
Yeah, we value silence in this house
and
dearly, or something she says.
She's always complaining about migraines, and she's the one who shot herself in the head. So that's a little. And did you notice the first time when she goes to grab the rifle, because there's intruders, and she picks the rifle up and then stops and looks at it for like a second and then kind of shakes it off and runs out. And it's almost like it was a little trigger of, when was the last time I held this in my hands?
I love that moment.
Well, you guys talked about her, opening the movie with her waking up screaming, and my first thought is she's screaming because the nightmare that she had was her murdering her children and killing herself, and now she woke up as a ghost.
Yeah, I wondered. I think you could interpret that.
Yeah.
But it could also be her dreaming about her husband dying,
being shot at war. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that could happen.
Her biggest fear was her husband was happy. That was her nightmare.
I mean,
Charles was happy. Oh my God, no! He's supposed to be miserable with me.
That's insane.
I like that you said that about the Munchausen proxy, especially because I think that entered my mind too. Is like, are these kids even really photosensitive, or is it just something they got a sunburn engineered to keep them safe in her mind? Because again, that's you have it's like the helicopter parent, the one that you're never going to let your kids go out and do anything that might hurt themselves, and it's tough. I mean, I had to deal with it. I know Slate's obviously been through it with a toddler, but I'm a toddler now, and seeing him do stuff can be difficult because I want to let him learn, but he also, like, it's like, man, like, stop banging your head on the floor for no reason. Like, it's because it's like you hear so many things like, well, you should just let him do it because it's a coping mechanism. Like, yeah, okay, I get it, but fucking 40 times a day, like, we gotta get this straightened out, and it does, like, things like that. I can see how someone, if you are confined in a space with children, as much as you love them, you are going to inevitably get annoyed very quickly with some of the things they do and some of the things they say, and especially if you've got a daughter who's willing to push back on some of your bullshit from time to time, as Anne is want to do. I can see why it leads you in, and your husband has left. I can see why you deal with all this anxiety anyway. I can see why it leads you to a point where you just enter this black hole, and suddenly you've killed yourself and your kids, and then yourself, and people. So that's a very intense situation to be in.
Yeah, I think ultimately to me, whether or not the children are actually sick doesn't like matter as much because it's very real to Grace. Like obviously, it's a huge control tactic. Like the children are locked into rooms and cannot leave because they do not have keys, right?
That was
And so
when she was locking the door, locking them in. I'm like, oh god.
yeah, no, and like they do not have like freedom of movement in the house, and like all of that shit is a nightmare. But like to when you see her think that the kids are being like exposed to light, like she's actively worried about, like she is not. This is not like her deliberately doing this to control the kids, right? It is a real illness to her, regardless of if it is like actively affecting them. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. Do the kids have a reaction? Like, is there any reaction when the curtains are taken off and they're
No, but
exposed to the light?
they're already dead.
Yeah,
Right.
so nothing can hurt them anymore.
Yeah.
But they are terrified because they've been told their whole lives.
Well, they're terrified because of how terrified she is, and
yeah, but they've been told that it will hurt them.
yeah.
So there's no way to know whether or not it would have.
Right. And ultimately, like, I think that the whole purpose of their illness is to get to the reaction of what everything that happens when the curtains are taken down. And, that's, finally where everything starts to become unraveled and we're starting to find out that, people are dead and all of that. So it's a good...
It also makes the movie scary as
dynamic.
fuck. So there is that.
Right.
Like the way that they light things, like it's hard to see what's going on, and so you are like, did I see something there or not? It's a very, very fun ghost thing.
I think my favorite scene in the movie is when Grace is in that room. She's hearing, Anne says, oh, that there's somebody in there. And it's the junk room is what they call it, which is how you also know these people are incredibly wealthy. They have a junk room full of like awesome shit that's just covered
in sheets.
And she's ripping off all the sheets. I mean, it's just like the entire time, because at that point you don't know what's happening to these people. It feels like something is gonna pop out.
Yeah.
And she's hearing the voices, and then I don't remember if it's right before she goes in there or if it's around it. The way the way it's lit, there's a painting. It looks like a ghost.
The face.
Yeah.
The man's face.
Of something that's watching somebody, and then the light comes on, and it's just the painting. And it's just such a... Again, the cinematography is just such a... I don't know how they made that image, but it's incredible the way that they put it together.
And I love to that point how when you've seen this movie and you know what happens and you go back and rewatch it, every time when you're watching Grace slam doors and pulling sheets off, and I'm imagining, is this family's in that room freaking out because
they're being haunted.
Sheets are being pulled off and the door is slamming and maybe there's a candle floating through the air. And I just love, like, every time you get that chance to think about it from the other perspective.
It has long been my dream and deep regret that we didn't have the other perspective movie.
Yes.
Where it's from the family who've moved into this abandoned home that had this tragedy attached, and then all of the ghost stuff until like they have the seance and decide, fuck it, and they move out. I've always wanted that so bad, and we're never gonna get it.
Yeah, it would have absolutely been fun. I thought that myself too. It's like, yeah, you could have totally done a spin-off from the other perspective and tied the two together. So,
or like you could even have done it as like a short film, probably.
Yeah.
It would have ruled.
It is fun that the ghosts are scared of the people that they believe are actually ghosts, but they're real people. And
it is a cool little twist.
It's a fun
in itself, like just when you think about it that way, because that's not how you're ever conditioned to think of it. But yeah, they're frightened of the living.
The living is haunting their house to them,
and then
it's very Beetlejuice.
I think there's also something specific to the real family that kind of sets this in motion, which is the older woman appears to be a medium or a psychic, or there's something she's she's touched, right? She can connect with the realm of the dead. And that scene whenever Anne is wearing her fancy communion dress and Grace comes in, and I remember this from the trailer of, but I am your daughter, and it's the old woman speaking in her voice, but you find out later on that apparently on the other side it was the opposite.
Yeah. So
because
good. Like,
because
the
they
little girl
had
possessed the old lady. Yeah.
Yeah, that they had kind of like switched bodies, or however you want to put it. And Anne is playing with a puppet, which is also a hint that like she's being puppeted and she's puppeting this other woman on the other side. And I just love all these little like details that kind of show up when you rewatch it. And again, you have new context for it. And
it's
when
like all
Grace,
the red in every Sixth Sense scene.
Yeah. Or like when they're sitting at the dinner table and Anne is doing, this is exactly the type of thing a kid would do, and just annoyingly breathing. And you just see Grace get madder and madder, and she's like, stop breathing. And you're like, oh shit, she's
what a horrible thing to say to somebody who's suffocated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I think of the I Am Your Daughter scene, though, I can't help but think of Michael Jackson and Scary Movie. Is it Scary Movie or Scary? Is it 2 or 3?
3.
Is it? I thought it was in 3. Yeah, I didn't think it was in 2. But yeah, wow. But when that sequence was happening, I could not help but think of Michael Jackson from Scary Movie 3. Yeah.
Well, they were probably referencing this movie.
They were. Yeah. They're absolutely like they're ripping that off, and it's Jesus.
I'm glad that left an impression on you.
It did. It did.
Also, we finally at the very end we cut to the seance, and the old woman's, I guess she's blind, right? They say she was blind and her eyes are kind of clouded over, and the man is basically interpreting her scribbles, and that the wife is just like, fuck this, we're getting out of here, and the husband's like, well, I don't know, let's
let's think about it.
We don't really know what's going on, and she's just like, no, we're getting the fuck out of here.
And then he's like, okay. He's like, I'm not fighting this fight. Okay, you win.
No, listen, how are you going to say no to Catherine Tully? No, absolutely not. Do you know what she's doing there? Because it's actually a really interesting. It is a practice.
What the medium is doing?
Yes, automatic writing, where one person, well, they can't see, are writing something, and another person is like reading what they're writing. Which I thought was really fun.
I was interpreting it her as more of like trying to sketch, but it didn't seem like it was much of a sketch. So
no, it's again, you are in. Supposedly the medium will enter a state where they're able to channel spirits and communicate messages, and so you're supposed to be able to find words in the patterns that the person is doing.
Cool.
Yeah, and
I bet your mom would not have liked that either, Slate.
No seances for us in the Slattery household.
And kind of a like last note here, which we've talked about, but I did love the ending when Mrs. Mills basically says we can learn to all be a ghost family, I guess, and live in this house together. But Nicole Kidman's with her kids, and they're all watching the family leave, and she says with like real anger and
disdain,
like, this is our house and no one's going to take this away from us, and kind of gives you a perspective of like, how do houses get haunted? Like, why is this ghost here? And it's interesting to see someone who is a ghost. And I like my kind of general knowledge from ghost stories is, the longer a ghost remains in this realm, the angrier it gets, right? Or they become more and more violent if they haven't been able to move on. And I can totally picture, given her, I won't say propensity for violence, but clearly she's been known to snap before, that you could see she could totally be like a poltergeist at some point in the future.
Her track record is not good.
Too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say she could totally ratchet up, like training the kids, and like now they feel emboldened because nothing can hurt them and bother them. And I feel
like the kids would just be like little stinkers.
Yeah, they would be,
Yeah.
but
They might
I'm
just
saying like I could see her like having them rehearse how we're gonna scare the next family, and you do this, and you do that, and but like what I really would have loved is for Miss Mills to be like, yes, we can all like live here and be a happy family, but Grace, you do not fucking tell me what to do anymore. like, like that's what I wanted for Mrs. Mills. Be like, I am not your fucking nanny. I am not your maid. And guess what? We're gonna let some light in this house. If I want to put my feet on the couch, I'll fucking do it. Like, you don't tell me shit, woman. I've been dead
Yeah.
longer than you. You know, like.
Oh, I forgot to mention that apparently, so that Book of the Dead, some of the photos are real and some were fakes that they made for the movie, and apparently the director is in one of the photos. But I was looking through and
Some of the photos are actually real dead people from that time period. That's crazy.
I couldn't figure
Better
out
than
which one
Poltergeist.
that he might have been. But
Oh,
yeah,
I-
unsubstantiated fun fact.
Well,
I
that's
like it.
cool though. I mean, because
That's
it's kind of
unsettling.
it makes because Grace is like, oh, this is macabre, and now if you're watching that and know it, it's like, oh, like okay. I actually kind of think it's an. I mean, it is a strange thing, like thinking about it, but I also kind of think it's cool that people wanted to do that, especially at the time, where it was younger people dying too. A lot of times, like that wasn't all young people in the photos, but I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing to look back on as a cultural practice.
Two things. One, what my best friend Jenny has said before, that her family in like recent years would take pictures of dead ones, their dead loved ones, in the casket, and we were always just like, who the fuck does that? And thought it was so weird. Also, you can go on UK Special Archives, explore.uky.edu, and there are so many photos kind of like that. Like there are photos of dead babies.
Yeah. Well,
I'll find a couple and send them to you, Josh. I stumbled upon them by accident
No,
one
don't.
time when I was looking for a
throw 'em
healthcare
in the
thing, and I was
episode
like,
for
why are there
YouTube.
so many photos of dead babies in this archive?
So it's actually an interesting story. So from the time period where like this started happening, cameras were big and slow, and it took a really long time to take a picture. Moreover, they were very expensive, so a lot of people didn't have access to a camera. So a lot of the time you would have to like stand there for 10 minutes to get your photo taken, right? And kids died really young, right? So a lot of the time, if a child died, you would have no way to remember what they looked like unless you took a picture of them, because they had never had the opportunity to get a photo before. Moreover, little kids are really hard to keep still. So if you had a child that died, this wouldn't be the only way you could remember them. So it was a very, very common practice to then take a picture of this corpse that's not going to go anywhere. You can sit there for the whole 10 minutes, and then the parents will have something to remember their child by. And it's like heartbreaking, but once you put in the context, it makes a lot of sense, and it's not just like this ooh creepy, like the Victorians took pictures of dead babies kind of factoid. You know what I mean? Like, history is full of people, and people are weird and strange, but you can understand why they do things. And I love that shit, man.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I think it's cool that people did that. I mean, it's sad, but
Yeah, no, like
I understand it.
Yeah.
like
It's not something that I would want to do. It's not a particular avenue that my sister, more than anything in the world, wants to collect some like actual antique Victorian hair jewelry, because that was another thing that people would do. They would make jewelry or ornaments out of hair of a loved one. And she thinks that that's the coolest thing in the world. And I'm like, no, thank you. You could take your ghost bracelet. I'm A-okay on that one. But like, I love learning about these historical mourning practices, because I think it's just a great way to show that people have always been people.
Yeah. I like having that context.
Yeah, like they try to make it into like a creepy thing, where like they wanted to have a picture so they could capture somebody's soul, which, to be fair, a lot of cultures have a weird thing about taking your photo, because maybe But to my knowledge, there was no practice of that, like in that context. But the world is large and strange. Maybe there was. But I think that knowing the historical reason why we have a lot of stuff like that is less oogie boogie scary.
Yeah. Well, part of this reminds me, like this conversation is making me think of a movie that actually came out the year after this movie, where Jude Law is a hitman who takes photos of dead bodies for a living in Road to Perdition.
Road to Perdition.
Yes,
Oh.
with Tom Hanks. Fantastic movie. And that's like his job and obviously it's also like his little treasure and trinkets is like taking pictures of bodies that he is responsible for killing. But
Right. So it's a
but
serial
yeah,
killer trophy thing.
kind of,
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah. But Road Perdition's more of a drama movie and not like a murder movie, but it's fun. Jude
Mhm.
Law's awesome in it too. So
Very good actor.
yeah.
One of my favorite John Watsons.
Any other thoughts on this movie before I swing on over to the bonus feature?
I just want to again shout out the cinematography, but also the the way that everything unfolds. I do think it would have. I wish I had watched it again because I only watched it once. I only had time to. I've had a very busy 2 weeks, and I think it would almost be really exciting to watch it and then immediately rewatch it again, knowing what's really going on. Because I think it would. There's a lot of movies like that you'll be rewarded for doing that. But I think if you almost did it immediately back to back with the knowledge, it would be quite interesting to watch it that way, and I almost feel like it would make the impact of it, almost like put you even more into that space where they are, which is kind of like it's almost like because I can kind of see almost like not a Groundhog Day situation, but there's some level of that too for this existence that they're in, and it's not limbo, but it kind of is there. Like she says, like we're not in limbo, where maybe you are kind of, because that's kind of what limbo is you're sort of in between, but also it's also interesting to think of it as like maybe this is heaven, this is the heaven, because Grace couldn't have this in her place where she was because she was so anxiety ridden and she killed her children because of that, and now you got the heaven you wanted. You get to be with your kids and they can go outside.
And presumably, don't they talk about children's limbo is for kids who haven't been baptized?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
is that
they
why
go
they're
to
with her? Because they're totally innocent, but
Mm-hmm.
The way that they describe children's limbo is so insane. Like these kids are sent to the center of the earth for forever.
What?
Insane.
And on that note,
Yeah, my last thought on it is just that if you haven't seen this movie, because I remember watching this movie when it first came out, and I've always told myself over the years, like, I need to revisit this film, and I never watched it again, and I remember enjoying it and liking it, but remember the tropes of it being, oh, well, it's a ripoff of Sixth Sense, whatever, but highly recommend if you hadn't seen this movie in a very long time, or if you've never seen this movie, please do yourself a favor and check it out. It is worth watching. It is worth your time. It is a very good film. Performances are great, and it deserves more love and recognition than it gets.
I am going to be honest. I never considered this movie, like, in the context of The Sixth Sense. And, like, I didn't watch it in 2001. I watched it, like, much, like 2006 at the absolute earliest. And so, to me, the two of them never were part of the same conversation. Honestly, the movie that I think about most in conversation with this film is What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer.
I can see that a little bit, too.
Yeah.
which we saw referenced in Scary Movie 2.
Yes, we did.
Oh.
She's starting to suspect something.
So honestly, I think I'm gonna watch it again and think about, like, well, actually no, I'm definitely gonna rewatch The Sixth Sense and maybe this is a double feature because I think that could be very interesting.
I think they're similar, but I do think they're also very different films.
Yeah,
But
I think that they're more different than they are similar. It's just because they have a ghost twist in them doesn't mean that they're anywhere
People
near
are
the same
simple.
movie.
It's the common moviegoer or common movie watcher trope and the easy cop out for someone to say without like really wanting to dissect and break down the films separately. It's just what it is. It's well, it's the same ending. Yeah.
I don't know. People love to make comparisons, I guess, to just help someone understand the context. I remember when Bridesmaids came out and people kept saying, "Oh, it's The Hangover with women." And I'm like, "No, it's not."
Not even close.
It is way better and way deeper. Just
The
because
Hangover's a masterpiece. Hold up now. Don't shit on The Hangover.
Bridesmaids is a masterpiece.
They're both masterpieces.
Yeah, I think they're both great.
But they're totally different movies, you know, just because like they both sort of involve Vegas and raunchy stuff.
Well, Melissa McCarthy and Zach Galifianakis are pretty much almost the same characters in their film. They're different, but they're also like very, very similar.
Okay, let's move on.
Y'all can't see Marilee's reaction.
I see it.
Yeah. We're gonna move on from that.
They're
I'm
similar.
not a comedy girly. I get really bad secondhand embarrassment, so I try to avoid movies like that because I know they'll make me uncomfortable, and I there's no reason for me to watch it. What a statement, even still.
All right, whatever. I'm just saying.
Bonus feature: plot twists. So the plot twist. First of all, I feel like people overuse the term plot twist in to describe anything that maybe they didn't expect to happen.
100%.
It is not the same thing. So a plot twist is a plot point that should turn a story on its head. It should be unexpected, shocking, and recontextualize everything that came before it. And I think that's really the important part. It's not just, as I put here, oh no, I thought this person was a good guy, but they're actually a bad guy. Like I was on Reddit kind of looking for people's opinions on Reddit, but you know, like people's favorite versus least favorite. And someone mentioned, oh, when Cypher in the Matrix, you know, turns on the team. And I was just like, that's not plot twist. That's a characterization, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Honestly, if we're talking about like a betrayal, I feel like Cypher's was clearly signposted along the way. Like he kept being like, "I'm gonna betray you," boop boop boop. Walks 2 steps. "I'm gonna betray you." Put in another sign. That went insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So a good plot twist makes you go back through the movie or story you've seen and kind of connect the pieces all together, and it should feel natural and logical and not just thrown in there, essentially, for the lulz or just for the shock factor. You know, and again, The Sixth Sense coming out first, I think is really unfortunate that people just, at least whenever I was told about this movie back in, you know, the early aughts, people always compared it to The Sixth Sense. Mm-hmm. And speaking of the Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan gets a lot of praise and criticism for his frequent use of plot twists in his movies. I think that's kind of unfortunate. He's directed several movies now that have not had what I would consider real plot twists. I am kind of a Shyamalan defender, and not that I think that all of his movies are amazing, because a lot of them are straight up bad. But
the ones that are good are so good.
They are, and as I think I said in my previous podcast, I appreciate that when I go to see one of his movies, I am going to see a story that has never been told this way before. Whether it works or not
1,000%
is a different story, but I'm going to be entertained. Like when we went to see Old, I was like, this movie's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, old. It's absolutely crazy. I'm like, yep, you know what? I have never seen anything like this before, and it is weird and funny and sad and doesn't totally work in the end, but you know.
Ask me after class about Old, because I have a lot of thoughts on Old, and the French comic it's based on sandcastles.
The sandcastle, yeah.
Yeah.
I still contend The Devil is his best movie.
I liked Devil.
I love Devil. I think Devil.
Have you seen Unbreakable?
I think he produced it. I don't think he directed. Did he direct it?
No, he wrote, directed, and produced it. Devil is his baby.
I thought he just produced it.
No.
I
Have you
don't see it
seen
listed
it?
on his list
Hold
of
on.
directed features.
Y'all,
Slate, stop
Shut up.
spreading lies
Hold
on this
on.
podcast.
No way!
This bastion of truth
Yo!
we're running here.
I swear, I always thought he directed Devil.
He was the.
He wrote it,
He
but
has
he
a
didn't
story
direct it.
by credit.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's a Shyamalan movie. It's his best film. I don't care.
You've seen Unbreakable, though, right?
Yes, I've seen Unbreakable. I like
you say-
Unbreakable.
I
It's
love
fantastic.
It's his best film.
I love
It's-
Signs. I'm a
it's
Signs
so
true
long.
I liked Signs a lot, too.
Unbreakable just takes too long to get really good.
I think that we're not talking about superhero movies.
Sorry, yeah, fair.
No.
Yeah, we don't
could
have
be here all
those in
night.
2001.
Sure we do. Pootie Tank.
Yeah, that's our one.
Okay, so I was curious. I was like, what was, perhaps the first cinematic plot twist in history? Because it's existed in literature for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
But per an article on Collider, I'm going to pronounce this the way that I Googled this, that they pronounced his name. Robert Vina, which looks like Robert Ween when it's written out. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, released in 1920, is thought to be the first instance of this trope in modern movies as we know it.
Very famous film.
Yeah. In that movie, the narrator is sharing the story of a murder, but turns out he's an unreliable narrator. In the end, it's revealed he's a patient in a mental asylum, and the story he's been sharing is just one of his delusions.
That's
I've never
fun.
watched it. I've heard a lot about it. I know it's obviously very influential. I didn't realize that was part of its influence. That's cool. It's free on Tubi apparently and YouTube.
Hey,
It's in public
Tubi.
domain. 1920. It's definitely in public domain.
you gotta love Tubi. So I just picked out kind of a few of what I think are like my favorite plot twists, and where I'm removing the others in The Sixth Sense from this because we have talked about them so much. And God, I hate to admit this, but The Usual Suspects. I hate to give Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer any credit for anything at this point.
Why not? I mean, we're on a roll. This
Man, that movie's great. And at the end, when Kevin Spacey loses that limp and is just swaggering off, and they realize that he's made up this whole story. It is really great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's incredibly well done. Unfortunately, assholes can make good art sometimes.
Oh, all the
We
time.
do have to-
As you listen to the last few weeks of Not Another 2001 Movie Podcast, it's assholes left and right, baby.
Fuck you, Francis Ford Coppola.
Assholes and rapists. Why
yeah,
not?
sex pests.
Yeah,
they're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Previous episode, Mulholland Drive, which
Yeah,
you
beautiful.
kind
plot
of
twist.
understand there's something weird about this world and the way it's shot, and the way everyone is acting. But the cowboy tells the pretty girl to wake up, and then suddenly you're like, wait, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Did that really?
Yeah.
You're just kind of thinking back through the whole movie to this point and making the connections of what influenced her dream and everything.
I need you to know that for a second, before I realized we are going back to the actual topic at hand, I thought you were trying to say that David Lynch was a sex pest. And I
Oh,
was
no.
so
No.
heartproken.
Marilee was about to
No.
just cry.
No,
No,
It would've broke my heart,
he's in
too.
our-
David Lynch.
No.
He's in our
He's a good guy. We like
good
David
pile.
Lynch.
Yeah.
One of the few. Yeah, and what I love about Mulholland Drive too, is it's such a. We talked about this in the episode when we talked about it, but you can watch that in so many different ways to where, yeah, it's a twist, but also it's like you can almost twist you the other way depending on how you're watching it and what you think about it. It's such a it's
So well
such a
done.
fucking good movie.
Such a well done film.
And I'm cheating a little bit here by bringing in a TV show, but that first season of The Walking Dead, when you get to when they end up at the CDC, so up to this point, they think you're infected whenever you're bitten or scratched, and we got to find a cure. And that moment, like they're watching the scan of the woman's brain. She's been killed. She hasn't been bitten. You see it reanimate, and the moment that like Rick Grimes realizes everyone's infected, there's no hope because everyone who dies is going to become one of the walkers. I think that is so well done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that first season is just perfect.
We're throwing out TV shows. I got two. Obligatory Power Rangers reference.
I knew that was coming.
Power
God,
Rangers
Josh.
RPM, which was at one point supposed to be the final season, I guess. But the about halfway through, it comes to light that the mentor of the season, Dr. K, she's kind of she is the person responsible for creating the villain that they've been fighting the entire time, and the way that they handle it is like that season is. Depending on what you want from Power Rangers, if you're a Power Rangers person, it can be a little divisive. But for the average person who doesn't engage with Power Rangers whatsoever, that season of the show is probably the best story, like acting. Like there's a ton of great actors in that show that have actually gone on to do cool stuff. So recommend that. But then The Good Place, like I want to throw The Good Place out there.
The Good
It's
Place.
like it's maybe 6 or 7 episodes into the first season. It kind of just turns the whole thing on. It's like I don't want to even say it if you're someone who hasn't seen it, but I love The Good Place. Kristen Bell's fucking as bad as she is in that fucking Pulse remake. Like couldn't be better. And
the
couldn't
whole
be
cast
better
is
in The
great.
Good Place. Oh yeah, I love The Good Place. It's so good, man. NBC had some good stuff going there for a long time in the comedy.
An absolute banger. The Good Place is incredible.
Okay. For me, my 3 favorite that I could think of plot twists that kind of came to mind. For me, the first one is From Dusk Till Dawn with Tarantino.
Yeah.
And I mean, you really think you're in an action movie, and it just flips it on its head. It becomes a vampire flick out of nowhere, which I still contend would have been the perfect thing for Sinners to do instead of letting us know that it was going to be a vampire flick. But so well done. Loved From Dusk Till Dawn and the plot twist.
I don't even know that I would count that as a plot twist because like it's a genre shift.
Okay,
like, it's so
that's fair.
Unexpected
Yeah.
because there isn't any like you can't watch the movie with new context because there's nothing indicating that they're going to be vampires until they show up at the titty twister and then they're vampires.
Yeah. I don't know. I love it. Like to me, you're probably right. It is more of a genre shift, but it's part of the plot is the movie pivots, and so I'm calling it a plot twist. For me,
I love it.
It's one of those fake ones Allison was calling out.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Continue.
Fine. All right. This is a plot twist, and you can't tell me it's not. The Prestige. Okay?
Yeah, that'll do it.
The Prestige is probably the best plot twist Nolan's ever done. One of the best plot twists ever. I mean, it's great. And then my last 2 would be Psycho and Longlegs.
Oh yeah, Psycho is
of course, yeah. Of course,
I'm
Psycho.
surprised that didn't come up in the notes.
Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had already talked about the affinity for Longlegs before, but Longlegs plot twist in the sense that I guess finding out that the mother involved is part of the plot twist, but for me, more or less, it's just the fact that like it's one of those movies that once you figure out everything, you watch it again and you see stuff that you didn't notice before. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Longlegs is a masterpiece. Osgood Perkins, you're a genius.
Absolutely. I didn't realize I was going to have to pick out some plot twists, and I had to go last, so I don't know that I have. No, it's okay.
I've got one more, but continue.
I think The Haunting of Hill House TV show by Meg Flanagan has some really good twists.
The Bent Neck Letty.
I'm so excited for his Exorcist with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh my god, me too. Wait. I'm also so stoked to see whatever he does with Carrie.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for his Carrie reboot. And I know that a lot of people are going to be like,
I believe Matthew Lillard and his child are involved in that series as well. I think his son is part of the Carrie cast.
I can't wait. Because the actor that he loves, who's in everything, who is Bev Keane on Midnight Mass, that woman was born to play Carrie's mom. Like she was put on this earth to do that role, and she's gonna fucking eat every frame, and I cannot wait. But like, not even just the bent neck lady twist. I'm talking specifically about like the red room of it all, and like that reveal in like I think that's in the last, but it could have been the penultimate episode. But like that kind of thing, layers. It's so good. It really changes how you watch the series, knowing stuff from it. I think it's delicious.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Can I give a dishonorable mention?
Yeah, we're gonna get to the worst here in a second.
Okay. So I'll hold on to it.
Into that. Okay.
One more that I want to bring up, that this is a more modern favorite, and
Mm-hmm.
probably a hot take, because I don't think a lot of people liked this movie, but Nope by Jordan Peele, which I don't know if
Oh
you all have
my
seen it.
God, it's
I've
so
skipped over this in the
good.
notes.
So- I
didn't
I've
watch
not
it.
watched this movie, and I want to
It's
see it.
sorry, Slade, I'm going to spoil it for you.
Yeah,
So
go ahead
you-
because I won't
Take
watch
off your
it.
headphones for a couple minutes. I swear to God, it's so worth it. It's so. I'll
Marilee,
do this when you.
it's really
I
well
hate Us, so I doubt I'm gonna like Nope.
done. Okay,
I'll
you
take it
think
off.
that it's an alien, and you see in the trailer it looks like an alien ship, and they're the family's running this farm. They're basically animal trainers for Hollywood, and it's all about their battle with this alien.
Mhm.
Well, there's a scene when oh my God, Glenn from Walking Dead, what's his name? I have dementia, by the way, Marilee. I have perimenopausal dementia, and I can't remember anything
Oh,
at
okay.
this point in my life.
No, he's so good. I can't remember his name either because my brain holds only
Stephen
5.
Young. Whew.
Yes, Stephen Young.
Okay.
I can only remember 5 actors' names at a time. So
So he is like a former child actor. He's got this whole theme park, and he realizes that it's adjacent to this farm, and he's like, hey, there's like this alien, and I'm gonna make it part of my show. So he basically lures the alien.
Wait a minute, we're still
Again.
talking about this. You gave me
yeah,
the okay.
no, it looks so sad with you not having your
No,
headphones on.
it's
And
okay.
Josh
All I heard
has
was
his
Stephen Young.
headphones on.
I heard Allison
yeah.
yelling Stephen Young. That's about it.
He's so good, but like, just put it on. It's fine. If you not knowing the twist knowing the twist isn't going to be the thing that you just I think it's a really good movie and you might like it.
It's a small twist.
I've
Yeah,
actively
honestly.
avoided Jordan Peele movies after watching Us. I hated the twist in
Jesus
that.
Christ.
so.
Okay. Anyway, Slate.
See, I've not seen it, but I'm fine reading. I'm fine hearing it. I want to.
Okay, yeah, it's-
I'm with
just
Marilyn.
the
I'm like
twist is
the
that-
twist ain't going to affect me. Not
Stephen
wanting to
Young
watch it.
lures this alien out, which you think is a ship, right? Because it's
Mhm.
big and gray, and there's like a black part in the bottom that you think is like the door or whatever. And he's been taunting it, and it sucks up the entire crowd. And you think like, oh, they're all being sucked up into the spaceship. No, it is a sentient animal. That is its mouth, and these people are being eaten and liquefied. And the movie cuts to them, and they're clearly inside like a throat, stomach, whatever, and they're being squished and they're screaming. And
It's one of the most uncomfortable minutes of film you've ever seen.
it is a thing that like haunts me. Like I could not stop thinking about it for days and weeks after, because it was so unexpected and horrifying.
Yeah, the reveal that it's not a craft, it's a creature is so well done. Because like it looks like a typical alien, your idea of a UFO, but it's-
Stereotypical, yeah.
yeah, but it's so much more interesting than that. I genuinely think the movie is a masterpiece. We actually covered it on Fear Coded, not to plug
Oh,
my
I'm gonna have to go
podcast.
listen to that.
Yeah, we covered it last year for our Summer Blockbusters month in July 2025, and it was Spectacle was the name of the game, and we had such a good time with it. It's such a good movie.
See, I'm all about his stuff. That
Yeah.
I'm all into it. So I need to get around and watch this.
And Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer have been like
I do
pissing off
love
this
them.
alien, and it goes and hovers over their house and regurgitates
All the metal
all
and blood.
all the
It takes a shit on their
guts.
house.
It basically vomits all over their house.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
It's so good.
And I don't want to spoil the ending when you see it's like big form, because it's
because like the craft form is like it's only one of the things that it can like be. It's just so good. It's such it's a masterpiece, and I will
would
not back
recommend.
down. Yeah.
I think I liked it way better than Us. Of course, I liked Us, and I thought Us made me think a lot, but I think Nope is a better movie than Us.
I think the
Yeah.
more you think about Us, the worse it is.
You think too much. That's the problem.
I'm sorry
thinking
for
like
having
It
a
is-
logical
others.
brain.
It is the year of our Lord 2026, and Donald Trump is president.
Yeah, who's
Nobody's
thinking now?
Slate.
The more you think about that, the worse it is too. So,
Okay. All right, let's go to dishonorable mentions, as Marilee said. So, my top one, and God, I have to lead an episode on this later this year, that 2001 Planet of the Apes.
Ugh.
When Marky Mark finds the ape Lincoln statue at the very end, it makes no goddamn sense. I hate this movie so much. It's so dumb. I hate Mark Wahlberg is starring in it. you know, the original, the twist is that it's this, he realizes this is Earth. Oh my God, I thought it was going to be, but I traveled through time or whatever, and this is actually Earth, and it's been taken over. But there's no logical reason. They just wanted to reference the original, but do something new. But they chose something that makes absolutely no sense, and I hate it.
It's so
Yeah,
dumb.
it's bad.
So
It's not
stupid.
good.
That's Tim Burton. He just didn't. He didn't have
That's
M. Night Shyamalan write it for him.
Yeah, fucking. That was.
That was
him at the
about when
peak
he
of his
started
powers,
really
and that's
charting,
what he did
yeah.
with it.
Another is Hancock, which
Yeah.
I thought.
Where Charlize Theron's the other hero.
This is so, you know, how long did that come out? When did, like, nowadays, like the whole superhero, we have, you know,
Was it like
the
20?
boys and like
I feel
Yeah,
like
I
it
was
was like
thinking
Yeah,
2009.
it was like
Yeah, the
2008.
boys
ahead
and-
of like the boys and all that
Brightburn
stuff.
and, you know, movies were like, oh, superheroes can be bad too. And this was kind of the first instance I remember really seeing that in kind of mass media. And I thought it had so much potential of Will Smith being this like drunk superhero that fucks stuff up when he's trying to save people.
He's so fun. You should sue McDonald's because they
I think
fucked you
the
up.
first half of it
Hancock,
is like fun, but then when they bring in Charlize Theron and she's married to the whole thing, I was like, why is this your choice? It's so dumb.
The movie felt like two distinct halves, like somebody stapled two concepts together to make one movie because neither of them was strong enough on their own.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it destroyed all of the best parts of either script.
Exactly. Has
I
there
saw
ever
that
been
movie. I saw it in theaters, and I
I did too.
remember walking out and being like, I almost loved that movie, but I also almost hate it. And I still
enjoyed it.
don't know how to feel about it because I've never watched it again.
See,
I
I
enjoyed
didn't
it.
see it in theaters, but I saw it. You know, I watched it on DVD or something, and I remember liking it. But it's been 10 years, so I have a more fully formed brain now, and I wonder and actually use it. So not as well as Slate, but
Look, man.
Yeah. Oh, my number 3 pick, which I don't know if you all have seen, Remember Me with Robert Pattinson.
No,
The
I have
surprise
not seen
9/11 movie, yeah.
Secret 9/11 movie.
that's crazy.
So
What? I need to know. I need to hear
the whole
more about
it's
this.
a drama. It's like a coming of age, and Robert Pattinson plays this character. He's at odds with his father. His brother has died by suicide. He meets this girl. Her mother had died sometime before, and it's just kind of them getting together and bonding and dating and kind of falling in love. And she helps him reconcile with his father, blah blah blah. Anyway, you get to the end, and you're kind of like, oh, things are going to work out, and they're both kind of getting on the right track, and you know, working through their grief. And Robert Pattinson goes up to visit his dad in his fancy office tower, and he's like sipping a cup of coffee or something, and then the camera pans out, and you see that he is standing in one of the twin towers, and the date is like September 11th, 2001 at the bottom.
Wow.
You're like, wait, I was watching a secret 9/11 movie this whole time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Insane.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a swing right there.
It sure is.
It sure is.
You can end literally every movie like that. Like, you could just go on a fucking every love movie, every comedy, every action movie ends with somebody just being in the Twin Towers.
Yeah, imagine
You
if
know,
Ace Ventura, they make a third Ace Ventura,
Yeah.
and that's the.
At the end of the movie, he's like delivering a package full of puppies to the 98th floor.
He's talking out of his ass, and yeah.
You know what's also kind of a secret 9/11 movie? The first Saw film.
What?
If you look at the date, it's actually September 10th, 2001.
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
So Dr. Gordon has 2 very bad days in a row.
Wow! Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about mentioning that one when we were talking about good ones, but like, I mean, it is a plot twist because he's laying there the whole time. I guess and
Absolutely.
he kind of does
That is a
recontextualize
great
stuff.
reveal.
Yeah,
But
it's a really good one.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, it's just weird thinking about that one though, because obviously it spawned such a big franchise, and it's like I think because even like Friday 13th kind of has that too
I
going
think
for it. But
it's
kinda
so
gets lost in the
simple
sauce.
and kind of elegant in that first one.
Yeah.
But it seems like they were like, oh yeah, people love it whenever we like throw in shit that shocks you, and then every movie after that they're just shoehorning in.
Yeah, I think the reveal in Saw 2 also really works.
Yep.
But after that, it's very diminishing returns.
Yeah, they get like I've watched all of those before Spiral came out. Me and
Spiral's
Sarah went
fun.
Spiral.
I love
liked
Spiral.
Spiral too. I liked it a lot more than a lot of people did.
I would like a Spiral sequel. I really would.
But I like
I
Chris
haven't
Rock
comment.
too. Like
I remember watching it, and I remember nothing about that movie. But it was also during COVID, so stuff was like going in and just falling out.
I think that was
so
the first
real,
movie I saw at Lex Live.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
Wow.
My dishonorable mention for worst twists is Westworld, the HBO TV show, specifically because the writers saw that people were guessing what they were doing and then would go and change things.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah, and so like the plot twists don't make sense because they weren't what they were building towards, because they prioritized being surprising versus making sense, and I hate that shit.
We call that Lost syndrome.
Yes, yeah.
Because I felt like Lost was doing the same thing.
But yeah, Westworld is what I think about when I think about a bad plot twist.
I know people bring up, speaking of Shyamalan earlier, I mean, The Village is one. I think that was the one that at least turned a lot. It started turning
That
people
and The
off.
Happening.
Been there for a minute. I don't even.
Oh my
remember
god,
The Happening.
oh my god, I forgot about that.
I don't think I've
Yeah,
seen
it's
that.
another-
What happens in
It's
that one?
fucking
Stellar
terrible.
performance from Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg
It's
as
so
as a science teacher.
It's so bad.
What's that scene where they're at that old lady's house and she's basically accusing him of, I don't know, trying to kill her. He's like, no. It's like it's memed constantly because his acting is so bad. Oh my god.
So, Josh, you haven't seen The Happening? You don't know the plot twist of The Happening?
Yeah,
Essentially,
I don't care. You can talk about it.
Yeah,
Don't watch
essentially,
it.
It's so bad. It is one of the worst movies. It is definitely the worst Shyamalan movie. Essentially, it's supposed to be like this, I guess, supernatural force or something that's kind of going on, and you think
People
it's
are
this big.
People are dying by suicide in like epidemic proportions.
Yeah. And
like,
you,
what is causing people to take their own lives?
and it turns out it's basically just a movie about like taking care of the globe and like recycling.
The plants
and
are killing
the
people.
plants,
Right?
yeah.
Like, that's the twist.
Yeah,
plants
the plants are killing people. Yeah, take care of the ecosystem.
There's
or
a
else.
Or it'll
scene
take care of you.
where they look over and like the wind blows the grass and it's presented as like a terrifying, like, oh my god, run from the grass. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's rough.
Actually, I kind of want you to watch it because it is so bad.
Josh would be like, you know what? I actually liked it.
I'll find a reason to.
Does this movie matter? This movie does matter.
I think the thing it's weird. It doesn't. I mean, it makes the movie it's in worse, and recontextualizing it's weird. I don't think it affects the movie it's in, but when they just decide to fuck up that last Star Wars movie with making
Somehow
Rey
Palpatine
Palpatine's
returned.
like granddaughter or that too,
Yeah,
and then making him her the granddaughter or whatever.
they had
Like,
to undo everything
just-
Rian Johnson did, even though his movie was far superior to the rest.
Exactly. I will die on that hill that it's like probably the second or third best, Star Wars movie because it actually.
I'm not gonna
fucking
fight
tried
you.
to
I
do
love that
something
movie.
The
fun
Last Jedi is
and
amazing.
different, and it just makes that movie. I hate Rise of Skywalker or whatever the hell it's called. I just think it's the worst. It is by far the worst Star Wars movie, and because it largely is all that Palpatine shit. It's just like here's your nostalgia food, you little babies. Here's your member berries. Like eat up,
Your
piggies.
member berries.
It's still better than Attack of the Clones, but that's my opinion.
No, I ain't giving
No.
it nothing. I'm not seeding the ground. I have the high ground.
Fair. I won't challenge you on that. I don't want to lose my arms and legs and become melted. I'm already bald.
Talking
I
about
don't
good
need
ones
to-
though. I mean the Vader thing.
Yeah,
that's
Revenge of the Sith
obviously
was
a
cool.
pretty iconic one.
That's a good plot twist too.
Yeah. Vader being the father, of course, is fun.
They're so good
ooh,
they made a trilogy about it.
What about? What about the old man Myrtle and the Beast in The Sandlot actually being a nice dog and a nice man who loves baseball. That's another James Earl Jones plot twist.
I wouldn't count that as a plot twist.
All right, fine, whatever. The worst plot twist for me, for real, is Us. And I could go on a huge tirade about it, but the reason why I hate it and why I think it's ruined for me is that the Jordan Peele lays out all these rules and he makes it a huge allegory for multiple different things, and he passes it off as art, but really it doesn't feel like elevated horror. It doesn't feel like art. It feels like he wrote himself into a corner and couldn't get out of it, and then broke his rules and said, use your own brain to make an interpretation for whatever works for you. It works for me because I don't know how to finish this movie. And that's what it felt like.
All right, I disagree, but
that's fair.
I also don't love that movie. I think it is very, very flawed, but there's a lot of things about it that I
extremely
did
flawed
like.
and sloppy.
All right. On that negative note, thank you, Slate.
We were talking about bad plot twists. That's a bad plot twist.
Okay. Let's go on to why we're all here, which was, this was Josh's baby, his idea. Does the others matter? Who wants to take it first?
Well, you brought me right into it. My baby. This is a hard one because the movie's phenomenal. I think the movie is, I'm with Marilee, it's masterpiece, borderline. So if we're talking about it being something that, in terms of the context of it, matters, like it's like it's part of like the 2001 canon. You have to see it. It's absolutely, you can't understand the year. I'm almost inclined to go no, from how we often approach this question.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an incredible work of art that touches on, I mean, if I were to make the case that it matters, it's, a lot of the things it has to say about belief and whatever, whether it's religion, motherhood, how you approach things. I think that's the case. Like, that's the way to approach it if you want to say it matters, is, the messaging and how it conveys that is a very powerful mechanism that I think will persist through time. Like, I think this movie, there's no way that this movie won't, I think, be valued as something really special and great to watch 50 years from now, 100 years from now. So in that sense, it matters. I mean, I think it's hard to say it. It lives in the shadow of The Sixth Sense, right? We've kind of talked about that. And even though I would think we all agree it shouldn't, that's kind of its legacy, unfortunately. And we're out here trying to champion that and change that. That's part of, I think, our jobs as podcasters, a very important role. But yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning towards doesn't, but I hate to say it because I think it's probably the best movie I've said that about, that we've talked about so far on the show.
Marilee, go ahead. What do you got?
Joshua Moore, I like you. I respect you a lot. You're absolutely fucking insane for that take. Because I remember being in this exact fucking scene, and you guys were giving me shit for saying Valentine doesn't matter. And you guys said Valentine matters.
Valentine does matter.
I was with you on that one. I was screaming, yes, praise Jesus, as I was listening.
Valentine matters.
No,
it was more like,
Praise Jesus!
If you were thinking of it in a broad cultural context of history,
yeah,
no.
You're like, it's insane to me that you're saying that Valentine mattered, but you're saying the others doesn't. That's insane. That is a wild take that I cannot let you, I cannot not give you shit about. Because what are you saying? That this Criterion Collection movie that has been collected for the betterment of art forever, for this movie with incredible lighting, incredible acting, the way that this does have an influence on other horror movies that are created. The way that they use light and you're saying that this doesn't matter, but Valentine does?
Well, and since we recorded, I mean, I have tried, because it has been hard to
he was
almost
on
hate,
a streak of everything mattered for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
like
it's-
I totally respected if you were gonna say every movie matters, all art like has inherent value. I was gonna be so on your team. I was gonna be so on your team, and then you say the others doesn't matter.
Yo, you want to hear something crazy though? I'm so glad I let you go before me because I'm kind of Team Josh here.
Both of you said Valentine matters, and this one doesn't. And like, I don't know how to handle that.
Yo, it's funny because you went scorched earth on him, and I'm like, oh, that was actually directed right at me. She just doesn't know it yet. No, like, all right.
I love the movie. I love the movie.
Like reset here. Reset. The movie, I enjoyed the movie. I love the movie too. But I'll say this. I have rewatched Valentine far more times since its release in 2001 than I have the others. The others is
So, like-
a far superior movie.
Yeah, no. If you're saying that it doesn't matter to like you, and that is your rubric, that's totally fair. If that is gonna how you judge it,
That's
consistency is key, and like that's totally fair. And I'm not gonna be mad at you about that. Joshua Moore, however,
fair.
you're the one
But-
who said Valentine matters. And then in this conversation, you say, I don't know, it's living in the shadow of the Sixth Sense, as if Valentine doesn't live in this post-Scream shadow. Like, what is happening in your brain? I do not get it.
I think for me, also part of it is if I were trying to make the case that it matters, it's also like, I mean, it is incredibly unique in the year. There's nothing else like it. I mean, that's another lane in terms of it mattering. Is it really is? I mean, that gothic horror thing is so unique here. It's just so hard because I think because typically we look at it like the performances, and maybe it did like maybe a lot of these actors, like just not being familiar with them, maybe they're like the biggest things in the world after this elsewhere.
The kids
Except
really
for-
didn't do anything.
That's
Or not much after this, which I found shocking.
That's why I feel like like to take up the mantle for why it doesn't matter is that like this is not a top 5 movie that I'm gonna say. If you're asking about Nicole Kidman movies you like that, it might be top 5. It's definitely not top 3 of movies that I'm gonna say this is Nicole Kidman's best performances. You absolutely need to watch it. It didn't set off her career. Like Moulin Rouge was more of that than this. I think. Nothing came from the child actors. The director, didn't become this impact in Hollywood. He's doing his own thing with his Spanish movies and stuff. Like. And while I think the lighting is fantastic, I think the costumes are great. I think the house is a character in itself that is unlike any other in most horror movies. And it definitely has an awesome originality to it from that aspect for it being this gothic horror. But when I'm talking about horror movies, when I'm talking about movies that have plot twists, it's never at the forefront of my brain to mention this movie, which makes it hard to say that it matters.
And I think matters, like I'm the dummy that introduced that language as our way we enter this last section, and I think it works for how we talk about things, but it almost doesn't characterize, I think, even what we're getting at. Like, is when I think matters, it's like I think obviously the movie is fucking awesome. Like it's incredibly
a great movie.
well done. Like it matters from like if you were studying it, like how you could write a great postdoctoral thesis on gothic horror, and this is going to be a big part of it and how you talk about that. But I think I'm looking at it a lot myself. I try to, at least. I mean, I'm probably inconsistent, but like the things, like if you were painting the picture of 2001 today, but also looking back in time, how much does it reflect that time too? And this movie, just by the nature of being a period piece, also that makes it difficult. Now I'm also sitting there talking about I don't remember if I said Gosford Park mattered or not. I'm sure I did, just because I was the only person in the room
disgusting person.
So I'm even being inconsistent there. So I probably should just stop talking.
Yeah. Listen, if it doesn't matter to you, then that's okay. I just want you to know that your rubric is insane, and I will be judging you for it.
But
they're being graded on a different scale too. Like I think that like obviously we're grading on films in 2001, which should all be the same scale. But like The Others is an artistic film, and Valentine is a slasher. And so it's like, okay, is this column in a newspaper that is talking about the circus better than this story about a Nobel Peace Prize winner? Like, they're completely different categories in the same thing, and you view them from a different lens somewhat in that aspect. Like,
Yeah, because
what
for me,
they're
Valentine
going for.
reflects more about the year than
Yeah.
this movie can.
It is way more 2001 than this movie is.
God damn. Can we stop talking about Valentine?
I love you,
please?
Josh.
I like Valentine a lot. I don't. I can't. You can't get away from it. You've had
This
me
is
on
actually
for
our way of
twice.
just doing an Allison Valentine episode.
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
God.
like we had your analysis. By the way, again, episodes hadn't come out yet. I had no idea who you were, Allison. I read your notes. It's like, God, she is so fun and smart and cool, and I want to be her friend so bad. So like meeting you in person and having this conversation is kind of a dream. Thank you for that. But like, y'all are in. This is nuts.
She hates us.
Okay.
I don't hate you.
No.
So
please save
I
me
think-
from spiraling.
I think of all the three of us, I'm really the one that's thinking broader historical terms. Has this changed the industry, the culture, etc.? And they're like, I love A Knight's Tale. I love A Knight's Tale, but I was like, this movie doesn't matter. It's got great performances. It's got Heath Ledger when he was on the run, but I'm like, if this movie didn't exist, I think all of these things still would have happened, for example.
Facts.
And just thinking in terms of this, I would say this movie doesn't matter if I'm thinking in that way, only because it does get overshadowed by The Sixth Sense. It is a period piece. Nicole Kidman was in Moulin Rouge, and that was really her huge star-making turn. The other actors, again, are haven't done much. And again, I think this movie is fantastic, but when I think about has it really moved the needle, I am glad that it's on the Criterion Collection, so that at least it's getting some influence there. But I'll be curious if we revisit movies in another 25 years, the same movies.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, no.
How are you going to feel then? And there have been some attempts at gothic horror. Like, I don't know, the Woman in Black and The Turning and Crimson Peak, which was a gorgeous movie.
Would you all count
was
From
not
Hell as gothic horror?
I haven't seen the movie,
It's
so
close.
I
Probably.
It's a Jack the Ripper movie. You haven't seen From Hell with Heather Graham and Johnny Depp? Well, it's another
No.
2001 movie. It's a Victorian horror. So I would
Yeah.
call it gothic horror. And I would say that it is far...
Victorian horror and gothic horror are different. So
well, it's Victorian age, I guess, is what I mean. But it is, I mean, it's Jack the Ripper. It feels, like, all right.
yeah,
I'm just saying
honestly,
it's better.
I do think that I've seen it, but it's been a really long time, and I should watch it again. No, and like Allison, I think that your answer perfectly makes sense. Like, I totally get why you think that, because I do think this movie has kind of been forgotten as time goes on. I think it matters. I think that it matters specifically because I do think people have been influenced by it. But I get what you're saying, because this wasn't a star-making turn for anybody, and like, it is overshadowed in Nicole Kidman's career. It's overshadowed in Christopher Eccleston's career, and those are the only two that really have careers post after this. But I think the movie, as a piece of art, matters desperately, and I do think it has like a really and it's a small niche, but it does have an impact. So like, again, your explanation totally makes sense. Honestly, Slate's explanation for why he feels like why he just thinks it doesn't matter also makes sense to me. You
Josh.
no. Stay consistent, or I will see you in the
Merrily,
comments.
we're talking about the same person who took Fast and Furious as based on a true story. So.
I get.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
technically based
Josh-
on a true story. You can't get out of that technicality. Like, it's an insane choice, but sure.
I'm just saying, that's how his brain
I was
works.
ready to disavow Marilee from the show, but now I think we ought to have her back again. We can read Racer X together, back and forth, a live reading.
Oh my God.
You brought up the Criterion thing too, Allison. I do think that's worth noting in this conversation, especially not really maybe for every movie we talk about that we drafted from that, but this is also a recent thing. And so like part of the Criterion thing is interesting because the way people talk about that, it's like, oh, it's been selected by the Criterion Collection, so it's important, and that's part of it. I mean, like the value of it, but also like they're a business, they're like licensing different movies, and so they make considerations here and there, but like, so it's hard to just say like, oh, it matters because it's in the Criterion Collection. Like that can get you down a weird rabbit hole. But it's also a very recent addition to it, which I think will over time help gain more of that recognition. It was like October 2023, I think, when it was released. So I think going forward, that's something also that will help it in terms of gaining more stature among cinephiles, but also casual people, because I think, especially if we get into this place that I think I'm not. This might just be wish casting the future, but I feel like we're getting somewhere where people are starting to value physical media a little bit more again. And I think the Criterion label is very well respected. It's the one that
makes movies
echoes
more
through.
available,
yeah,
too, which is also really important. Like, I know when a lot of Godzilla films were like added to the Criterion Collection, people got really excited because this was going to be the first time that certain like translations of movies were going to be available in the United States widely for the first time. So, like, I do think that is like important,
and that's why I mentioned, if it being added to Criterion Collection, it's kind of recent memory. 25 years from now, it could have, I don't know, more people get to see it, and it could have an influence later in its life, I guess. And I absolutely think it should, honestly.
Oh yeah,
it's so well done.
I will advocate for this movie mattering in terms of it should matter. Just where I'm sitting right now, it's hard for me, and maybe I don't see it's possible that also that I'm not seeing the things that it's influenced as much, and that could be like that's just me just being ignorant in terms of like, I know you've seen way more horror stuff than I have, Marilee, for sure, and
it's kind of my brand at this point. So.
Yeah, and so that's good though to have that perspective, because I really like this movie. Like, it's one of, I would at the end of the year we're going to reflect and do a lot of reflection and stuff, and I think you can make a really good case if you're just talking the Oscars, because Nicole Kidman was nominated for Moulin Rouge as Best Actress for that. I think you could have a really good conversation, and we probably should by the end of the year. Like, why was that versus this movie? Because I think they're very different performances, and they're both excellent. And I think that could be a really fun conversation as part of the reflection at the end of the year.
Yeah. That totally makes sense.
All right, we good? Everyone calm down?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. I got way
Slate
more
had to go walk it off.
No. I'm real sorry. That was so insane to me. I could not handle it.
No, I
honestly
agree.
felt insane as I was saying it somewhat.
Just
like,
no,
be consistent.
Josh, I was right there with you. Like, I was gonna start with that, and I didn't want Marilee to eviscerate me.
I fell on the sword.
So, like,
I don't know why I'm so mean on your podcast.
No, it's great. I love it.
We need anger and or not anger, but we need some venom.
It's passion, and I feel like Marilee matches my level of passion. I feel like I get over animated sometimes and too passionate about a lot of shit that doesn't matter. Like, for instance, like, why is she not going to get fucking groceries? But
why don't I see her taking a shit? People take shits, right?
Yeah, she's a ghost. They never shit anymore. Like, she just hasn't taken a shit in 2 weeks and just didn't think anything of it. Like, all right. So, but no, like, Marilee, you are a true treasure and joy and pleasure to be on this podcast. You are welcome.
Yeah, anytime. Listen to our Swordfish episode where Josh and I are literally shitting all over that movie, and Slate's like, guys, I thought it was fun, and we're like, no, it's not, it's fucking stupid.
I haven't listened to that one yet. I can't wait.
Oh man, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, we obviously
that one was fun.
You're obviously welcome back anytime. We will totally, like, it doesn't have to be for horror, but obviously that's a great I'm trying to set you up for a segue. Let your talk your
listen, what a great time for plugging. Thank you so much. So I'm on the Fear Coded podcast. We release an episode pretty much every Monday. We've kind of slowed our tempo a little bit because this year is really crazy and we're all pretty busy. And so some months it's just going to be 3 times, but otherwise every Monday we release an episode. Fear Coded Podcast takes a look at a single entry in the horror genre and really examines it through the lens of queer theory. We've done tons of episodes on all different types of topics, including Nope by Jordan Peele, which we all really enjoyed. But we also, not just like serious horror, we did again, so when is this gonna come out?
This is coming out in May.
I think so.
Yeah, so May is actually, funny story, we're focusing on ghost stories in May, actually.
Oh,
Nice.
Yes, because David is going on vacation, so he's not gonna be with us. He's like
He's a
been gone
ghost.
for like, yeah. Well, no. So he's the one who programmed this, by the way. He made the choice to do this, and I love ghost stories, so it was like, obviously I'm in. But he was like, as a punishment for leaving, he stacked the month with ghost stuff because he doesn't like ghosts. So like, we are covering some really excellent stuff. So, like, we're gonna be covering The Haunting of Hill House, which is one of my favorite books of all time. We're gonna be looking at Poltergeist. Where I actually have another Patreon vote. It's actually so if you're a patron, you can vote on, like, sometimes we'll do this, and so we have a bunch of different ghost video games that you can vote for, and see which one we'll play and cover. It's just gonna be a really fun month if you like ghost shit, so check out Fear Coded Podcast. We also have episodes on YouTube now, but we are available wherever you get your podcasts, and you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Fear Coded Pod.
And Slate and I have ensured that if you guys ever get around to doing the others, that Allison will be invited for that episode.
Honestly, knowing that the director is gay, which I did not know before this recording, honestly makes me want to go watch it again and find those fun little queer nuggets. And obviously, Allison, you are invited, but you can come on for other stuff too.
Awesome. I would love to.
Great. Genuinely, you should all send me your favorite horror stuff so I can add you to our schedule. Not our schedule, but like on our brainstorming list. So if it ever does come up, you will be the automatic guest on that.
I have a long list. That would be rough.
Yes.
Just give me a couple things.
All right. I don't know. I get so I feel like all my films need like their love though. It's hard.
We're not going to have you on for Terrifier 3.
Fair enough. I wasn't expecting that. I will say, and this is what I thought about after you got off the podcast, and I'm playing a little bit devil's advocate here, and I understand why you feel the way you feel about the way women are portrayed in those movies, but one could argue that their deaths are the most important deaths because they're always the most important characters to Sienna.
I just think that Damien Leone is sexist, and it just makes the movie unwatchable. I'm really sorry.
No, I haven't seen this movie, but I'm going to agree with Marilee.
Of course you are, Allison. But I'm just saying that the brutality of those deaths goes over the top because it has further impact than just a guy who works at an insane asylum in the beginning of the movie. Like, the mother is important to Sienna. The best friend is important to Sienna. Even in the original Terrifier, it's pretty brutal. Yeah, girl hanging upside down, cutting her in half. I get it. But I'm just saying they're all traumatic experiences.
You cannot bring up that death in a conversation about Damien Leone's sexism and like his misogyny and not talk about the fact that they used that woman's like
filming that was awful too. Like,
she got like pneumonia and serious lung damage, and also they are selling still pictures of her topless without her consent, and she is not getting money from that.
Now that
I'm
I
really
did not
sorry.
know.
He's a bad guy, and those are bad art.
I did not know that.
Put him in movie jail with Victor Silva.
Whoa, he's not Victor Silva. There's a big difference.
Yeah, no, like he like she is still in the process of suing him for like back
I knew
pay.
that, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
But
bad.
I didn't know they were selling her photos without her.
Yeah, no, like it's on the steel case. Like her topless is on like the steel case for the first Terrifier film. She's not getting proceeds from that. Like, that's her body. It's fucked.
That's fair.
Whew, okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I brought it up, kind of.
Way to go, Slate.
She mentioned Terrifier 3. I just brought the other
I
thing.
did. I can't keep doing this to myself. I'm really sorry. Please cut all of that.
I was gonna go without mentioning it, but then I was like, oh, perfect plug.
I'm
All
so
right.
sorry.
Get him.
Let's finish this up.
Sorry, Allison.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. But it's time for me to close my curtains and tuck myself into bed and wake up tomorrow morning like Christopher Eccleston, staring forlornly out the window.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh, God. Links to all our online hangouts are in the description. And if you aren't already, please consider watching us on YouTube and subscribing anywhere you'd like. And if you like what you heard, don't forget to rate us and review us on Apple, Spotify, Overcast, whatever podcast app you're using. And if you didn't care for this discussion, why are you still here? It's 2 hours and 30 minutes later. Feel free to move along. All right. Last thoughts, last commentary, anything else?
This movie was nowhere close to the Best Picture nominations, and this is being recorded fresh off when we recorded our episode about A Beautiful Mind, which was for some reason way longer than this episode is going to end up being. And this movie dances fucking circles around that schizophrenic story.
Yes, if you want a movie dealing with mental health,
this is the way to go.
this is the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, stay tuned for next time where Slate is going to take us back to ancient Egypt to meet Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
That's right. We're going to be checking out one of the, I guess, few and far between sequels that we really talk about this year. It follows almost immediately after the original film, takes place in 99. 2001, they fork out the money for The Mummy Returns, starring The Rock in his debut as the Scorpion King.
Man,
So
it's been a long time since I've seen this one.
yeah, I'm ready to revisit it, but I wanted to watch The Mummy and get a good sense of the vibe of that film before I watched The Mummy Returns again. So I actually just finished The Mummy before we did this episode, and it still holds up. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I would love if, like, James Cameron got his hands on it and redid all the CGI for it like he does with some of his other movies. This isn't his movie, but I'm just saying, how sometimes he likes to touch stuff up on his films. If we could do that with this movie, it would be awesome. But The Mummy Returns actually just returned in theaters for like a weekend too. It was like one of their throwback things, and I kind of wish I'd have went and saw it while it was in the theater. But yeah, excited.
I remember really liking The Mummy Returns. I saw it in theaters. I thought it was a great time. It also has a really good animated TV show that I ate the fuck up when I was a kid.
It does.
I have a hard time thinking it's going to hold up as well as The Mummy, though. I don't remember liking it as much as The Mummy. But
Rachel Weisz is incredible in it.
she's incredible. Period. Love her.
Yeah,
All right,
that's fair.
and-
I respect that.
With that, we'll see you next week. And given that the weather now, it's late March, it's finally warming up, take this solid life advice from a lifelong pale girl on behalf of Anne and Nicholas Stewart.
Get
Wear
some sun.
sunscreen, y'all. Wear sunscreen. Don't fuck with skin cancer.
Not smell your skin burning.
Well, life, they may or may not be angels stuck in limbo. So in the words of Shaggy, life is one big party when you're still young, but who's going to have your back when it's all done? It's all good. When you're little, you have pure fun. Can't be a fool, son. What about the long run?
I thought you meant Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and I was very confused.
No, on episodes I don't host, I like to quote a popular song from 2001. So.
No, I understood, like, halfway through the quote when I was like, oh, I know what you're doing.
That's Shaggy, yeah.
Yeah, no. I remember that you used to host a music, and I remembered that. Boy, I was confused.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh, what's going on?